All right. Oops. Hang on. I don't have my chat on screen. Why is my chat not on screen? What happened to my chat? Chat? Where'd you go? Sorry, hang on a second. This is weird. I had it on the other screen. Chat. Let me switch over. It vanished. That's weird. Hang on. Crap. Why did my chat do this? Anyway, well, I don't have chat on screen, but hello, how are you doing? We've got Tipster, Psy, Deathful, Dragon Knight Dragonborn, and Luna Rose. How you all doing today, you lovely, lovely people? I'm sorry that chat's not showing up on screen. It was working until I changed scenes. That's so weird. Anyway, how are you doing? Just came over from Alec Gunter's stream. He says hi. Oh, well, I love Alec Gunter. He's great. So I say hi back. Yeah. Today, sorry, losing this, the on-screen chat just threw me for a loop immediately. That's so weird. I have no idea what happened there. Hey, Sebastian Oval, how's it going? So today we've got some topics to talk about, but we've also got some movies and TV shows to review, which would include Love Lies Bleeding, The American Society of Magical, I'm not going to say that word yet, Kung Fu Panda 4, X-Men 97, and Invincible. As well, we've got a couple other topics to talk about. There has been some interesting Oscar controversies that I want to get into. There was a movie that was caught using AI art, and our favorite Star Wars guy, StarWarsTheory, has had another amazing insight into lore that I have to go over and praise. You know, you know how we are here. Sideful says, what? AI? Oh yes, AI. I'm really annoyed by the here. I wonder, if I duplicate this source, can I get I'm wondering why my chat isn't showing up. Because it was on screen. Y'all saw it. I'm not crazy, right? It was on there. Huh. No, I don't know. Sorry. That's weird. I'm gonna, let me move over to a different source. You'll get a preview there. Sorry, this is scuffed. Yeah, no, my chat isn't showing up on screen. That's such a bummer. I hate that. Hey, Sebastian Oval, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Money indeed. Anyway, Lunara says, lol, you watched his Acolyte video, didn't you? Not yet. There is a video of his that I do want to go over, but I was more thinking about a tweet of his that I need to go over. But how was your week? What have you all been up to? What have you folks been watching? Do you have any recommendations for me? What you got going on? I wonder if there is a way for me to just kind of cheat this for now. Yeah. Oh, Sebastian with the $2 additional more money. Thank you so much. Just been gaming and building Lego. Nice. So what I want to do is if I add a new source. Oops, that's not what I want. Hang on. Let's try a Firefox. And yeah, we'll go with that as the source. Let's move that down so it's not covering me. Okay. Then we'll... Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. We'll crop it. Sebastian, well, you don't need to keep giving me so much, but thank you so much for the additional $2. Okay. That is what I got for now. The stopgap measure. If my regular chat ever shows up, it should pop up on top of that. But it's janky, but it works. It's up there. You can see it. Hang on. I want to... There. Okay. That doesn't capture my cursor. Cool. Okay. We've got chat on screen. It's scuffed, but it works. Actually, I think I want to do one more thing. Just... Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. That was the wrong thing. What I want to do is get it a little bigger and crop it a little more. That way, it better resembles it. And then finally, for my last trick, Sebastian with the $2, no, you get more money. Okay, so what we're gonna do, add a Luma key. No, not that one. Let's add a chroma key. Custom color. That doesn't really seem to capture it very well, does it? That's kind of blocking out most things. That's weird. Yeah, you can't even read the chat there. Read that, but like it keys out the white too. I don't know why it does that. Here. Let's try one more. Let's try a color key. That looks better. Perfect. Okay. Bam, we got it. Sorry. Scuffed stream, but we do what we can. You hate this issue when it comes to your capture card, you may have to disable and re-enable. It's not that. Like, it's like the browser source doesn't want to load for me. Also, hey Marina, how's it going? I was just having to reset up my on-screen chat because for some reason my embedded chat failed. So I've got a little makeshift one here. We'll see how it goes. But looks like we've got 9 viewers and 8 likes, so I like that, but one of you hasn't. So why don't you go ahead and drop a like on the stream, and we can get started with our segments. Of course, I will also have to move this on over to my other thing, but before... Yeah, actually, why don't I go ahead and do that right now? Before I get into my segments, I just want to make sure that... I have it added here. Oops. I don't even need this one then. Okay. There. Cool. That works great. All right. think tech glitch in the web browser, maybe. Yeah, I have no idea. I'll have to poke into that later. That was super weird, though. Anyway, sorry about all of that. It's a scuffed-ass way to start stream. Not the way I want to do it. Kind of robs my momentum. But let's see. Did we have any other chats that I was kind of missing? Obviously, you can see me scrolling up there. Maybe I should use another window. I've got chat open in a couple windows, so maybe I'll look in here. Sebastian Oval says you're watching Young Sheldon. Probably not going to give that one a watch myself. I'm not a big fan of The Big Bang Theory, so I don't really see the need to see the prequel for it. Especially because I heard that they're like going to be doing a sequel series to Young Sheldon, which like isn't that just The Big Bang Theory? Anywho, Cy Deathful says I'm dealing with marker labels. Marker labels, what are those? I don't even know. Well, you know what? I think I'm just going to go ahead and get into our first topic. All right. Oh, it's for labeling markers. You know, go figure. But yeah, okay. All right, here we go. Let's get our first topic begun. So we had the Oscars a couple weeks ago, and Zone of Interest won Best International Feature, which I had predicted, and it was the obvious choice because it was the only one of the 5 films nominated that was also nominated for Best Picture. So, you know, go figure. But it's a Holocaust film, and the director, Jonathan Glazer, gave a speech that, well, I thought was pretty based, has been a little controversial. So before I get into the controversy, why don't we go ahead and look over the controversy itself. And also, I'm cutting this from the segment, but thank you, Anonymous, for the $5 tip. Testing, it worked. It went through. So let's take a look at this speech. Now, I'm going to skip over the stuff that's just thanking people because, you know, all the speeches are like that. Let's get to the meat. All our choices were made to reflect and confront us in the present. Not to say, look what they did then, rather, look what we do now. Our film shows where dehumanization leads, at its worst. It shaped all of our past and present. Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people. Whether the victims of October the 7th in Israel or the ongoing attack on Gaza, all the victims of this dehumanization, how do we resist? Alexandra Bistrin Kolajczyk, I don't know if I said that right. Don't crucify me. The girl who glows in the film as she did in life chose to. I dedicate this to her memory and her resistance. Thank you. So, he acknowledged the current genocide that's going on against the Palestinian people in Gaza. He also acknowledged the October 7th attacks, and I think that was probably the best way to do it, because both things are horrible. I don't think anybody should be trying to downplay that, you know, murdering over 1,000 civilians is just totally fine. That's a bad thing. Just like September 11th was a bad thing. And it was the response of the governments that was, you know, what was the actual, like, horrific thing, and not the fault of the people who, you know, the innocent people who were killed in those terrorist attacks, right? So I thought this was really based. Now, when this speech first came out, there was an initial controversy because people were taking it out of context. They were quoting him as, "We stand here as men who refute their Jewishness," which is not the end of the sentence. And I will argue that the way he phrased it is a little clunky. I would have reworded this to avoid getting that clip thing, because he's saying they refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation. So what he is saying is he is refuting the Israeli government using Jewishness and the Holocaust to defend what they're doing to the Palestinians. And, you know, I said based at the time. I still say based. But, you know, people were like, oh, refute his Jewishness. No, that was taken out of context. I think I would have... I don't even know how I'd reword this. But anyway, clunky as it is, I think the sentiment is pretty clear once you see it in full context. But that's not the controversy that... I mean, the out of context thing, that's not the actual controversy here. What we've got is over 1,000 Jewish creatives and professionals have now denounced Jonathan Glazer's Zone of Interest Oscar speech in an open letter. Variety, you and I have such a complicated history. I used to point out every time I was reading a Variety article that they are owned by Penske Media, which also owns Dick Clark Productions, which is a member of the AMPTP. Because if you didn't know, last year a lot of my channel coverage was on the strikes, and I had to point out how Variety had a vested interest in making sure that the strikes went well for the studios and not for the actors. It's not directly relevant here, but it has soured my opinion on the veracity of Variety as a reporter. And I'm not just going to be talking about this story as a story in of itself, but I'm going to talk about how Variety itself kind of became the story here with this article. But let's begin. Why don't we go ahead and see what the article says? More than 1,000 Jewish creatives, executives, and Hollywood professionals have signed an open letter denouncing Jonathan Glazer's The Zone of Interest Oscar speech. The list of co-signees provided to Variety Monday morning covers a broad swath of the industry, including actors Deborah Messing, Tova Feldsha, executives Gary Barber, Gail Berman, creators Amy Sherman-Palladino, directors Eli Roth, Rod Blurry, producers Lawrence Bender, Amy Pascal, Hawk Koch, Sherry Lansing, and representatives UTA's Jake Fenton, Gersh's Jeffrey Greenberg, attorney Craig Emanuel. About 500 more individuals have added their names to the nearly 500 who signed on when the open letter was first published. The group's statement says, "We refute our Jewishness being hijacked for the purpose of drawing a moral equivalence between a Nazi regime that sought to exterminate a race of people and an Israeli nation that seeks to avert its own extermination." Okay, so yeah, that is just apology for genocide, because, like, objectively what is happening right now in Gaza is a genocide. They are pushing millions of people into smaller and smaller areas as they have... I mean, the north of Gaza is basically just one giant crater at this point. There's not a city block that has not been hit by munitions at this point. And they funnel them all into Rafah, and then they start bombing Rafah. They started bombing Rafah during the Oscars. So, yeah. Like, fuck these people. Because they're defending a genocide. And I have no problem with Jewish people who want a right to exist. All people have a right to exist. I have a problem with them trying to push out people from their homes and bombing them and killing them and denying them aid and denying them food. And yeah, like all of that. And that isn't, you know, anti-Semitic to say, because it's not Jews doing it. Jews are a large group of diverse people. It's the Israeli government doing it. And the Israeli government really likes to equate itself with Jewishness, and that's part of the anti-Semitism that's getting carried on there. So, let's continue. Glazer declines to comment. With such high-profile co-signees as Jennifer Jason Leigh, La La Land producer Gary Gilbert, and The Americans creators Joel Fields and Joe Weisberg, the statement adds the use of words like occupation to describe an indigenous Jewish people defending a homeland that dates back thousands of years and has been recognized as a state by the United Nations distorts history. It gives credence to the modern blood libel that fuels a growing anti-Jewish hatred around the world in the United States and in Hollywood. Jonathan Glazer is a Jew. So, like, I know that, like, they're going to say it's, like, a self-hating Jew kind of a stereotype or something like that. Like, of course, there are indigenous Jewish people in Israel, and there have been for thousands of years. But that's not really what's happening. There is... The settler movement is pushing people who have also lived in Israel and Palestine for thousands of years. It's pushing them out of their homes and denying them equal rights as human beings. You know, yeah, forcing them to live in open air prisons. It is totally fine for Jewish people to live where they want to live. They just can't, you know, kick other people out in order to do that. The missive comes in response to director Jonathan Glazer's controversial acceptance speech at the Oscars on March 10th after his Holocaust film The Zone of Interest won Best International Film. Okay, and this has the part of the speech. We already read that. So, after Glazer spoke, he received applause at the Dolby Theater, some of it enthusiastic, like from Poor Thing star Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo's pretty based. But the speech became a hot topic in the industry over the ensuing days with many private... Okay, blah, blah, blah. We kind of get the idea of here. I mean, like, they're gonna... Of course, Michael Rappaport's gonna, you know, criticize him. That guy's insane. But this is interesting. Okay, let's go here. It is unclear how the open letter came together. Variety spoke to several co-signees who explained why they lent their names to the statement. Among the signatories is Juliana Margulies, who apologized for her own controversial comments about Black and LGBTQ supporters of Palestinian cause. Okay, I'm not going to read all of these. What I want to get to... Like, we can listen to all of the criticisms, but what I want to get to is... This includes a list of all of the co-signees. We're going to scroll for a while because I think it is very sussy that what Variety has done here is bury the lead. We're just in the L's. Let's go a little faster. Jeez, oops. Well, went down to the comments. Nothing good can come from there. Okay, so down at the very bottom, past the last name. Well, we got some Z names in there. Update. A previous version of this article included a link to sign the letter, as well as one false name signed to the letter. And the false name is Riverto the Sea, or River to the Sea, as in the Palestinian slogan, from the river to the sea. There was no verification process for this letter. As the article even says itself, it had 500 and then 500 more signed on after they published it. Have all of these names been verified? This is over 1,000 people. And we have at least one that was false. How many more are false? Not everyone gave such a obvious meme name answer, but it feels like if you're going to tout this many people denouncing Jonathan Glazer's speech, and there's no way to vet the people who signed on to the fact that you're burying the fact that this was in here to begin with, what are you doing, Variety? Variety got community noted on Twitter when they posted their announcement on this. Actually, do I have that? Hang on, I would need to open that up in another window first. Let's see. Yep. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. The letter is a simple Google form that does not confirm or ask for proof that the signers are Jewish creatives or professionals. One of the signers listed by Variety is a SAG-AFTRA member named Riverto the Sea. So, this was completely irresponsible reporting on Variety's part, and where in this article does it say that it's simply a Google Doc with no way to verify? Actually, let me go back up. I want to double check because I could... about 500 more individuals have added their names to the nearly 500 who signed on when the open letter was first published. Does it say where we can verify who was on it? No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't draw attention to the fact that there were fake names on here. It's buried down below. When you make a correction to an article, that shit needs to be right fucking here. Not at the bottom of a list of 1,000 names that nobody is going to bother to read. What are you doing, Variety? Hey, Eddie Spencer, how's it going? I had this one open, but I don't... It's just somebody else is defending him, but it's just a minor thing. Anyway, that's kind of irrelevant to it, but hey, Alexander, how's it going? This is journalistic malpractice on Variety's part. This retraction needs to be planted front and center on top of the article. They need to have something in the body of the article that says there is no way to verify other than by checking manually every single name and checking with checking with those people themselves, whether they themselves actually signed it or if it was just somebody else filling in a Google Doc with their information. This is absurd. My source, I made it the fuck up. Yeah, like, literally. Obviously, some of these people are legitimate. Now, it says 500 signed on when the open letter was first published. So, does that mean that they had 500 people on board when they initially launched it and then had the Google form in and that's where they got the other 500? That would be the most charitable read here. So, like, at least we do know there are some people, like, you know... This article does have quotes from a lot of these people. So like I said, yeah, there are a lot of people who are happy to defend the genocide of the Palestinians. And I am glad for them to speak out and show their faces so that I know who not to watch movies of again. You know? But Variety, this is amateur hour. What are you doing? Anyway. That's all I gotta say about that one. This is shoddy journalism in the service of defending a genocide. But, you know, I guess that's journalism's sacred duty, isn't it? Alright. I am really annoyed that my regular chat embed is just broken. Like you can see when I mouse over things, and if I scroll up here, it does it. I liked the other embed better. It looked better, but whatever. How you doing, Luxander? Glad to see you. Is this your first time stopping by stream? Let me see. What's my next? Oh, that's right. Okay, here's my next topic. Okay, let's get into the next topic. So, there's a movie called Late Night with the Devil that it's not a good sign that the first I have heard of this movie is from a rather unfortunate story about it. Late Night with the Devil directors explain using AI art in the film, say they experimented with 3 images only. So, before I get into what Variety has to say and what they have to say about it, there is a film called Late Night with the Devil, which is kind of like a found footage horror film about a 1970s talk show host who decides to interview a demon-possessed girl. That's the vibe that I'm getting from the trailer. I looked at the trailer. It looks pretty cool. It looks like an interesting idea. I think I'm probably going to review it next week. But people pointed out, and I can't believe I didn't have this one ready. Why don't I find the actual Late Night with the Devil AI art? Let me see if I can find the image itself. Yeah, here we are. Discussing film, you always come in clutch. Okay. Late Night with the Devil seemingly uses AI-generated art for certain cutaway transitions in the film, and here we can take a look at that art. You can tell it's AI art because look at the hand. The hands are weird. Also, like, it's a jack-o'-lantern, but it's also, like, bone-colored. Even though there is orange in the artwork here, they still have this as, like, a skull jack-o'-lantern. So, the leg is weird. The hands are weird. They used AI art for this movie. And apparently, it's literally just for 3, like, interstitials. 3 little bits between, you know, like after these messages, we'll be right back. Something like that. I get that horror movies have a low budget, but if you're just making 3 images, you can hire an actual artist to draw those things. If you're trying to present an authentic experience of a 1970s found footage thing, then you should probably hire an artist to draw something in that style rather than using AI art that immediately is recognizable as AI art that immediately takes you out of it. I have been on record on this channel. I have said before that you don't hate AI, you hate capitalism. And a big part of that is that I don't like the fact that AI is stealing people's jobs. I know some people go harder on the AI art itself, that the unethical ways in which it's generated, and I'm on board there. But I am not of the opinion that there is never an opportunity for us to use generative AI in certain circumstances. For instance, I defended the Secret Invasion opening the titles, the AI generated ones, because they were directly going for that style. They were going for a because the show is about, you know, anybody could be a Skrull. You don't know who's human or not. And the idea of using the AI art has everything shifting and changing, and you're like, well, this wasn't even made by a human, and that's kind of the point. And even then, it's very clear that they didn't just stick an AI prompt and then just run with it. They very clearly had actual artistic intent and 3D modeling and everything going into that they kind of ran a last AI pass filter over, right? They were deliberately cultivating that style. And you can criticize that style and not like that style, and I think that's legitimate, but it wasn't like they were doing it with no actual artistic merit intent involved. Here, they just took an artist's job away from them. They just put it in a prompt. I don't know, hired an artist to clean it up maybe, but it should have been drawn. So, let's see what they have to say for themselves. Because again, I've seen the trailer. It looks like a good movie. I don't know why they would do this. after some horror fans took to Twitter to express disappointment that the upcoming IFC film's feature Late Night with the Devil includes AI-generated art. The directors have clarified how the technology was used. Cameron and Colin Cairns, the Australian siblings who wrote and directed the film, released a statement to Variety clarifying the scope of AI art in the film. The statement reads, "In conjunction with our amazing graphics and production design team, all of whom worked tirelessly to give this film the 70s aesthetic we had always imagined, we experimented with AI for 3 still images which we edited further and ultimately appear as very brief interstitials in the film. We feel incredibly fortunate to have had such a talented and passionate cast, crew, and producing team go above and beyond to help bring this film to life. We can't wait for everyone to see it for themselves this weekend." Front-loading with, yes, we have a graphics and production design team. Making you know, like, no, we have artists. We have actual artists here. We just also decided to experiment with AI for 3 still images. No! Cut them out. They're interstitials, so they're barely in the movie. Just hire an artist to draw something similar to what you were going for and replace those. Yeah, we must support real art and creatives. Again, like I said, there are circumstances where I can see merit to using an AI art style, like in Secret Invasion. Even if I didn't particularly like it, I can understand what they were going for. And so long as, like, jobs aren't being taken, that's a different thing. But here, when you're setting something in the 70s style, like, AI art has an AI art style to it that very clearly they didn't get away with because we could all tell it was AI art. So just redraw them with actual artists. Hey, Imperator X, how's it going? Imperator X says, "Hey, Gafish and Chat. Also, yeah, Hollywood will do anything to cut costs and keep the millions rolling in." Well, it's 3 still images. How much could it cost to draw those things? You've already got a graphics and production design team on staff. You could have those all redrawn, and ready to go for an updated video file in like a couple days. And sure, that means you have to, get hire people on for a couple more days. But you could have avoided all that by not using the AI art in the first place. Like, it's 3 interstitials, Michael. How much could it cost? $10? Luxander says it really just shows a disdain for every single person who makes the industry what it is. It's laziness. And it's some tech bro on staff who was just like, oh, I'm going to try this. And like, why? It doesn't even look that great. It's got kind of a kitschy 70s vibe to it, but you could get an artist to do that for you. Like, I saw somebody redraw it on Twitter. Actually, is that here? I think it might even be in the replies. Ooh, let me hide that. Yeah, here. I went to Summer Rae, that has 27k followers. So all right, they're a person. I went ahead and recreated it. This could have been a dream job for an artist like me. And yeah, look at that. That's got the same style, same pose of the skeleton. Even it doesn't have as many of the little bits and bobs down there. You could add more noise if you wanted to, and give it that like 70s like film or videotape aesthetic. Like, this looks like degraded videotape quality, right? So you could do a little bit more cleaning up, but like, this is a literal drawing by a human being. Literally, just hire her. Pay her for this thing. Clean it up a little bit so that it fits a little bit more with that, the grainy videotape aesthetic that they're going for. Pay her, and then, hey, you fixed it. No more AI in the movie. Yeah. I know. I saw people who were canceling their tickets over this. Ironically, this is actually making me more interested in reviewing the movie because of it. So, like, I'm probably going to review this next week. And I'm definitely going to give it negative marks for its use of AI art. But the trailer looks good. I'm interested in this. And I don't think that talented creatives like the director, or the directors, Cameron and Colin Cairns, I don't think they should sully their work with this kind of AI crap. Luna Rose says, how they found out it was AI? Did they run it through software? You literally just look at it. All you have to do is look at the hands. There are certain pretty obvious markers. Look at the leg. There are bizarre mistakes. What's going on here? Like, there's a jack-o'-lantern face in a pumpkin, but what is this, like, ridge here? Like, this is a white face, which implies it's a skull, but it's inside of a pumpkin, but then here is just a pumpkin that's also white. Luxander says, do you think there's any chance they used AI art as a deliberate ploy for outrage marketing? That is a good question. And if they did, it worked. Because here I am talking about it, and I'm going to review this film. I hadn't heard of it before this happened. That is a very insidious point. Yeah. Anyway. Cameron and Colin Cairns, y'all know better. Just because it's Australia doesn't mean you're hanging upside down and getting too much blood flow to your brain. You know better. So, I hope your movie's good, honestly. I hope I enjoy it. Still gonna give you negative marks for the use of AI. All right. Now, the one I really want to talk about. Hey, $5 from Marina. Thank you so much. You're welcome for the stream. On chat screen looks different now. Yeah, that's because my embed broke. I had to do like I had to quickly do a scuffed screen capture thing. Like, this is actually the chat window that I have. Like, I'm moving my mouse over it right now. Like, this is literally in my YouTube stream window thing. So I have no idea. It was the preview was working when I was on my waiting screen, but then it broke for no reason. It's so weird. But anyway, hey, we've got 14 viewers and only 10 likes. Go ahead and like the stream if you haven't, and let us talk about the Acolyte. So, the trailer for Star Wars The Acolyte dropped, and I'm not going to watch it because I'm onto you, Lucasfilm. I know you're going to try to copyright claim me. I know the Lucasfilm stuff gets immediately caught in the copyright thing. You know how I know? Because I have been playing Jedi Survivor, and YouTube keeps telling me that other people are stealing my content because they're also uploading stuff from Jedi Survivor. So I know that this stuff is in Content ID and is going to get caught. But we can talk about it. And I will be honest, watching the trailer, I wasn't super psyched for it. It was like, okay, yeah, it's more Jedi stuff. And it's our first live action foray into the High Republic era. I know there's a lot of books in there, and Jedi Survivor has a lot of High Republic stuff in it. It's their new era that they're trying to build out. But the showrunner for The Acolyte, Leslie Headland, she was the showrunner for Russian Doll, which I watched the first season, and I think I watched the first episode of the second season, but it had been several years between them, so I kind of lost interest. But the first season of Russian Doll, that is a really great creative show. A lot of fun, wacky stuff. So I'm interested to see what Leslie has here. And she did an interview with actually I don't even know who it was. I've got it with the Hollywood Reporter, but I don't know if that's the original source for it, because I did see it on IGN too as well. But there was one thing in particular in the interview that I wanted to look at, and so here we go. Let's get that a little bigger. Let's get that more readable for you. And oh, come on, don't do that to me. Oh my god, okay, maybe I have to go a little smaller so that it doesn't... Okay, I guess I don't get to highlight. Okay. Andor creator Tony Gilroy proves that you don't necessarily have to be a lifelong Star Wars fan to be a great Star Wars storyteller. So I thought you made a wise choice by having a varied writer's room with fans of different eras and then someone who never flocked to it at all. And yes, yep, you are correct, chat. Abigail Thorne is in the show. I don't think she was in the trailer, but she was able to confirm. And we actually, we did know that beforehand because her agency website had her listed. It was like Ensign something was her character's name, but like I think they weren't supposed to do that. It just, somebody messed up and put it up there, so it got leaked. But she wasn't able to officially confirm it until the trailer came out. Anyway. So that was the question that I just read, talking about, you know, having a varied writer's room with a writer who has not seen Star Wars. And Leslie says, yeah, I just thought it would be good to have the perspective of a person that had literally never seen Star Wars until she was in the room. And she said to me, why do you want me in this room? I've never seen Star Wars. I have no idea. I think there's a dog in it, but I don't know anything. And I was like, first of all, you're an incredible writer, but that's why I want you here. I want you to be questioning narrative. I don't want myself, who's a lifelong fan, to just be relying on particular references in order to create emotional beats. I want those emotional beats to be earned and checked by someone that isn't super familiar with it. That is so smart, because so much of the Disney Plus Star Wars stuff has been solely relying on nostalgia bait. Like, basically any of the Dave Filoni shows, like, if you haven't been watching the Dave Filoni cartoons, you're missing out on a bunch, because the live action shows just kind of assume that the people who are watching this were watching Clone Wars and Rebels. Especially Ahsoka. Like, don't watch Ahsoka until you've watched Rebels. I just consider Ahsoka season 5 of Rebels. And so making sure that you are writing a show that makes sense both to diehard Star Wars fans and people new to the franchise, making sure that it doesn't rely too much on just established offhand knowledge, like, oh, here's a character, you know who it is, we don't need to explain anything, or we know that the universe works this way because it was established in this movie, so we don't have to explain it, it can just happen. Having somebody in the writer's room who's like, well, hang on, I don't know why that is, or to point out, you're relying on that trope too much, and I think you need to shake it up. I think it's a good thing. And I saw people who were saying it's like, that's like asking a toddler for writing advice, and I'm like, they're a writer. Like, you can be a writer and not have written for Star Wars or have seen a Star Wars and still be a good writer. So this has me excited. Callum McCall says, third of all, there's no dog in it. Sorry, Chewbacca is quite literally based on a dog, so you're wrong. Filoni sucks, I said it, fight me. Look, I like a lot of what Filoni does, but I think Filoni gets a little bit too insular in the way that he creates his shows, especially the live action stuff. I really like his cartoons, but also, like, I have issues with the first couple seasons of Clone Wars. So yeah, Filoni, mixed bag. I like the dude, he's not a saint. Anyway, that right there, that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about with the Acolyte, is that I am excited that they have a writer who doesn't know, but Leslie Headland herself is a huge Star Wars fan. Like, she, like, it later, elsewhere in this interview, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here's fan service is always a complicated subject with Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. By taking place a century before the Phantom Menace, does that inherently mean the show won't be littered with cameos? She says, that's right, but for example, you'll see a little bit of Vernestra Woe from the High Republic novels. She ends up being live action for the first time, so that's definitely a cameo for that audience, I would say. You see a lot of cameos of alien species that I don't think I've seen in post-Disney live action, meaning a Zygerian Jedi and a half Thelan, half human Jedi. So there are species that you will see, but they aren't necessarily like, oh, it's that guy from that movie. Oh, it's that character from Return of the Jedi Special Edition. It's more like references to Star Wars that I think will excite fans, but they aren't specifically named characters that exist there. There's also a lot of stuff from the EU that I got to utilize. Nobody stopped me, so I did it, laughs. So she's very clearly a die-hard, lifelong Star Wars fan. She knows what she's doing, and I have seen her do some really creative stuff here. And apparently the premise of the show is going to be kind of like a Rashomon type story where we're seeing different people's perspectives on what happened, because it's kind of like a murder mystery show. So I'm excited to see where it goes. The trailer itself didn't sell me on it. This interview sold me on it. But let's talk about somebody who has a different opinion. Hey, Star Wars Theory, my best friend in the world, the smartest man, the man who knows everything about Star Wars. What do you have to say for yourself? Everyone in the Acolyte who sees a red lightsaber has to die. If they don't, prequels canon breaks. Maul was the first Sith to be seen in 1,000 years. We'll see, maybe it'll be like a Rogue One situation where they all get offed. Now, that's possible that this show ends with everybody dying. Who knows? I haven't seen it. But Star Wars Theory has made the fatal error of assuming that red lightsaber means Sith. And you really don't have to work hard to explain to him that there is more to Star Wars than the Jedi and the Sith, even when we are talking about the Force. There are dark side users who are not Sith. The Night Sisters of Dathomir. There are lightsaber users who are not Sith. Kylo Ren, not a Sith. And actually, if we're just like specifically red lightsabers, so I know in the old canon before the Disney acquisition, I think it was like a synthetic kyber crystal that gave the red color because the Sith did not have access to is it Ilium? The planet that has the kyber crystals on it. But in post Disney acquisition lore, the crystals, a red lightsaber is when a Force user has imbued their crystal with their rage and passion. It turns it red and it makes the blade more powerful. In fact, we have seen that in Star Wars Jedi Survivor when we meet Dagan Gera, a guy who has been in suspended animation since the High Republic, so, you know, during the time when there were no Sith. And what does he do when he wakes up? Let's take a look. Oh, hang on, let me turn off my background music as well.
They gave up on it. Yes. It was my discovery, my home, and they just expected me to throw it away. Dagan, wait. I refused to obey and was betrayed by the one I trusted most. Stop!
I realized that was playing at double speed. Let me try that one more time.
My home, and they just expected me to throw it away. Dagan, wait. I refused to obey and was betrayed.
So you can see it started as yellow, but then boom, he's enraged and it turns red. And let's go back to Dagan, see what he does. Puts it back in his saber. And it's now a red lightsaber. Dagan Gera has been in suspended animation for 200 years. Dagan Gera is not a Sith. Dagan Gera is a Jedi who fell to the dark side because he became so attached to the idea of using Tanalorr, and the Jedi Council ignored his plans and basically rejected them, that his attachments got the better of him and he fell to the dark side. That doesn't make him a Sith. The Sith are not just anybody who has a red lightsaber or any dark side user. Again, The Night Sisters of Dathomir use the dark side, but they are not Sith. Dagan Gera was a Jedi, a dark Jedi. A fallen Jedi. But a fallen Jedi doesn't mean you're a Sith. In fact, even people who are trained by the Sith are not necessarily Sith. We have Asajj Ventress, who was trained by Count Dooku. She learned many of the arts of the Sith, but the rule of two stands, so she's not an official Sith, even though she's got 2 red lightsabers. And yeah, and not all Sith even use red lightsabers. I think Exar Kun was a Sith. This might be EU Legends. I don't know a lot about him. I specifically remember Exar Kun because he was like the first guy in Star Wars lore to have a double-bladed lightsaber. This was before Phantom Menace even came out. In fact, when I saw the trailer for Phantom Menace, I thought Darth Maul might be Exar Kun, but I think he had blue lightsaber blades. And he was a dark side user. So and Anakin Skywalker, when he first fell to the dark side, he didn't immediately imbue his lightsaber with, in fact, he lost that lightsaber. Obi-Wan took it, so he got a new one, and that's the one that he turned red. So having a red lightsaber doesn't make you a Sith, and being a Sith doesn't mean you have a red lightsaber. So what Star Wars Theory saw was somebody killing Jedi who has a red lightsaber and assumed, oh, it's a Sith 200 years before they're supposed to have been seen again. Well, it's obviously not a Sith then, man. I just had my music off. So, he's an idiot. But, that out of the way, he had here linked a video where it literally is just him restating this tweet for like 4 minutes. We don't need to go over that. But he does have other things to say about the Acolyte, and I was curious to see what he had to say. I haven't watched this one. Now, let me boost the volume here. Let's make sure that it is good enough for you guys to hear, because I need to fix my audio setup at some point, but for now, we can just do it this way. Background music off again. Okay. Theory, what do you have to say about Leslie's interview? Leslie talks prequels and Acolyte. Oh boy is the name of the video. Begin.
Leslie Headland got interviewed for the Acolyte on IGN, and I was going through the actual interview. There's a lot I can't really say anything about because it seems actually pretty positive for the show. However, there are a few things that I'd love to read with you guys and address.
Sure.
By the way, it is currently my birthday. It is
Happy birthday.
2:55 in the morning. We're here. I was just working on the site for theorysabers.com, and now I'm making a couple videos.
I don't care about your Theory Sabers. Luna Rose says he's going to call it woke, isn't he? Well, I mean, like, if you want to make a drinking game of people complaining about Star Wars and complaining about woke stuff, like, your liver's just going to die. So, like, that's an easy guess. But, I don't care if he calls it woke. I want to see what he has to say.
For you guys. So this is how I want to spend my birthday. Honestly, it's the best way to chill, make videos, and make content for you guys. So, okay, despite these influences, the reporter says, you've also spoken about challenging the Star Wars universe. Do you think the Acolyte bears resemblance to other shows like The Mandalorian or Andor, or do you think it's unique? Leslie says, I think it's very different. We've utilized practical sets much more so than other shows.
I like the use of the practical sets. Andor didn't use the volume either. Andor shot on location or on practical sets, and I think they built that whole town. It was really good. Hopefully he thinks so as well.
I'm a big fan of that. George did a lot of practical sets as well.
Well, George did a lot of practical sets in the original trilogy. Like, if we get into the prequels, especially by episode 3, I think almost every single set was just like a green screen. So, like, yeah, George did a lot of practical sets back in the day when you had to do practical sets. But George isn't like somebody who's like, oh, it has to be practical. In fact, George was like, I remember George was pushing back on criticism of his over-reliance on like CGI characters, and he's just like, well, it looks just the same as a puppet. A puppet's not real either, ignoring the fact that there's certain, markers that like live action stuff shows that just gives it a little bit more verisimilitude. Is that the right word? I'm probably using the wrong word, but it feels more real because it is actually a physical thing existing in frame rather than something that they had to put in post and try and make sure that they match the lighting for it. So yeah, like I know he's gonna slap George's knob, even though George is not the genius that he thinks he is. But anyway, I could do this every time he brings up George Lucas, and I'd be here all day. Let's keep going.
Well as minifigures. And part of that just came out of necessity, and part of it was a creative choice. We utilized action in a way that I would say you see a lot of action in other shows, but I would say that because of the influence of samurai, musha, and martial arts films. They become part...
Now, musha, is this like a transcription error? I think she was saying wuxia, Wuxia, which is like, it's like kung fu movies. I don't know what musha is. If that is something, somebody can correct me, but I think this is actually a transcription error. I think she's saying wuxia.
Part of the storytelling as opposed to an action sequence. I think that's something that's a little different. Each fight tells you a little bit more about the characters. I think stylistically, that's how they're different. All right, cool. Now get this.
Okay.
I'm also not sure how Jedi-centric the other shows are. Obviously, Ahsoka is. But we're looking at the Jedi as an institution, as a concept, as an entity that has amassed a lot of power. And that's kind of how it is in the High Republic.
Okay.
The Jedi are sort of at their peak somewhat in terms of their illustriousness and their sort of elegance. And that's good. I'm not saying that's wrong, but I do think that when Jodie Turner-Smith has that line at the end of the trailer when she says, it's not about good or bad, this is about power and who's allowed to use it, which I think is I don't really understand the line. I don't think it makes sense. Really?
I mean, we actually have a perfect example of what that means in a recent film adaptation of a famous book, Dune Part 2. Paul Atreides is, on paper, a good guy, a hero. He has all of the traits of being a hero. But the Dune books are there to critique power, that even the most, like, ideal, heroic, good person, when given power, is going to do bad with it. So, but like, I understand that requires a deeper analysis of systems of power and sociological causes and effects. And I don't think that's like where his mental state is at. You know, I could be wrong. Like, I don't know, maybe his head is twice as big as it is and he has to cram it all in on that hat. But something tells me it's probably a little bit too complicated for him.
I think that's the question we're asking. That's really the question. It's not, is somebody good, is somebody bad? There's an imbalance. Someone might be imbalanced morally, but if there's a power imbalance, how does that affect the power of Star Wars? And we've never seen the good guys outnumber the bad guys to this extent. I guess that's how it's different. So the last part there, I don't know what the heck she's talking about, because the prequel trilogy was literally over 10,000 Jedi against Darth Maul. That was it.
Well, no. I mean, sure, the Jedi always outnumbered the Sith, but it wasn't just Darth Maul. What's the name of that movie? It's one of your favorites. The Phantom Menace. Who is the Phantom Menace? It's Darth Sidious, who by the end of this film is Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic. The most powerful man in the galaxy, you might say. So that's a significant power imbalance, right? Like, sure, he's outnumbered, but when she says we've never seen the good guys outnumber the bad guys to this extent, she's not just talking about outnumbered in terms of like the raw physical numbers. She is talking about in terms of the power of it. Whereas like the prequel trilogy is very much about how the Sith utilize their power to amass more power and subvert liberal democracy into fascism, right? And you know, like in America, the fascists, the Trump fanatics, they aren't the majority. They're actually a really small percentage of the overall country population, but Trump still won in 2016 and did a lot of fascist shit. So, you know, it's not always about who has more numbers. It's about the power and what you do with that, right? Anyway.
And then once we had Darth Maul slain and they were like, he's back, you know, the Sith are back, Voldemort's back, then we still had 10,000 Jedi against 2 Sith, one of which we didn't even know where he was, which was Palpatine.
Right, but who won? Who won that war?
Palpatine. Now, the idea of her saying that it's not about good or bad, I mean, I think Star Wars has kind of literally been about good or bad. It's...
Well, I mean, a lot of stories are about good or bad. That is a lot of basic storytelling. That doesn't mean that just because a theme has been present in the original work that it has to remain unchallenged and unexamined the entire time. Oh my god, Dragonite Dragonborn, really? Great power comes with great responsibilities from Spider-Man? I am learning this for the first time.
It's the power of good versus the power of evil, and which one is trying to take over the other. Sure, the Jedi always talk about the prophecy of the Chosen One bringing balance to the Force, but the Jedi didn't have a clue of what balance really meant. Balance meant, you know, 2 and 2. They thought balance meant you have 10,000 Jedi and no Sith.
What? That is such a simplistic view. No, like, George has always portrayed the dark side as being like an imbalance in the Force. That restoring balance to the Force means getting rid of the Sith. It's not like, oh, the balance is restored because now we have one Sith and one Jedi. Sidious and Vader both die at the end of Return of the Jedi, and it's just Luke. And, you know, Ahsoka is off somewhere too, and presumably some other Jedi who survived the Purge. You know, the expanded universe definitely undermines the whole line of when gone am I, the last of the Jedi you will be. But, you know, we can criticize that elsewhere. Restoring balance to the Force is about defeating the Sith. And I mean, we could get into an argument about whether balance actually means a balance between the dark side and the light. I think it would be interesting to tell a story about how the dark side doesn't necessarily mean evil. Certainly, it means that to the Jedi Order. You know, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil, or you know, if you want to get into that, but like, I like the elements of Star Wars when it examines the Force outside of the dogma of the Jedi and the Sith. They don't own the Force. They're just two religious orders with their own specific ideas about the Force. Merrin, Night Sister Merrin from the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games. She is a dark side wielder, and she's like BFFs with Cal Kestis, a Jedi, because she uses the dark side in a completely different way than we have seen the Sith use it. And I like that. I like that kind of, examination of how a different culture would interact with the Force. And so, while I think, like, if somebody's going around and killing Jedi with a red lightsaber, like, yeah, I'm going to say they're bad people. That seems fairly obvious. If you're running around with a red lightsaber, you are probably a fallen Jedi. Not a lot of non-Jedi get access to that kind of tech. But yeah.
Not balanced. And the Force answered back and said, no, this is ridiculous. It's not balanced at all. So what did they do? They had Luke and Leia, and they had 2 Sith and 2 Jedi, Yoda and Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, and Palpatine. And then, of course, Obi-Wan dies. Luke rises to become a Jedi. Then you have 2 and 2.
Oh my god.
So, this whole thing about good...
Is that seriously... Okay, but then... Is that seriously what he thinks is the balance of the Force? We have to have 2 Jedi and 2 Sith? because, like, I mean, I know Ahsoka didn't exist when these movies were written, but she's out there, and I know you like Ahsoka, not maybe the TV show, but the character, because I know you like Clone Wars. You love Dave Filoni. I don't know, that doesn't that doesn't make sense. That's not what restoring balance to the Force means. We could have an argument about it. I think that is a completely off read. I think that's a very simplistic read of what it means. Now, do I think George knew what he meant when he said restoring balance to the Force? Probably not. I don't think George is as smart as he wants to give him credit for being. I like George Lucas. I think he has a lot of creative ideas. I don't think he has the writing skill to necessarily pull them off in a good way. But I really don't think that was his intent. I don't think balance was, oh yeah, 2 and 2. Like, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
First bad is not really a thing in Star Wars. I mean, I don't really know where that's coming from. The whole point of the original trilogy when George wrote it is the fact that it's supposed to be about the rebels, who are these little guys rebelling against a massive tyrannical government like the Empire. And it was on the rebels. They're supposed to be the Vietnamese in the Vietnam War, and they're rebelling against America.
At least he acknowledges it this time.
America, essentially, and the oppression that they're putting on them. And so there definitely is a very big understanding of good versus bad in Star Wars. So to say that, it's not about good or bad, this is about power and who's allowed to use it, which, that line to me, I don't think any Jedi would even say that. I don't think any Jedi would ever even say that it's kind of like a gatekeeping thing, like, oh, those people aren't allowed to use this power. It's like, well, no, everyone can use the Force, but it depends how you use the Force.
So, I mean, well, I would say that the Jedi having edicts on how you are allowed to use the Force is like controlling people and telling people if they can use the Force or not. Like, again, we have seen in Star Wars canon that being a dark side user doesn't make you a bad person, because Night Sister Merrin, she's a good person and she uses the dark side. I just don't think he has the capacity to grapple with this kind of a philosophical question, because he has this very binary good versus evil mindsets to it, and he's either uninterested in or maybe afraid of examining more complicated stories than that. I mean, he didn't like Andor because it had bricks, among other things. So he very clearly has an issue dealing with higher ideas, I guess. So, let's keep going.
Who uses the Force? Now, in this case, what's the imbalance in the Acolyte? It's that there are, thousands of Jedi, and I guess now there are going to be just, again, one Sith, one dark side user, one dark
You don't know
Jedi,
it's a Sith.
one whatever. Now, I don't think it's a dark Jedi. I think it's literally a dark Force user, and I'm going to get into that in another.
Well, I think it probably is going to be a fallen Jedi or of some sort. But okay, we'll I'm curious to see what his thoughts are.
Video. However, I wanted to talk about this and speak about this because I don't really understand, what she's meaning when she says that it's not about good or bad. So I don't really know. Maybe you guys can help me out in the comments. But,
I can help you out now.
For me, I'm just a little confused. Now, this next one is also interesting. The Star Wars shows so far are fairly blatantly tied to other projects, but the Acolyte is set a long time before even The Phantom Menace. Does it have a start and stop story, or is there room for it to connect to other films and TV shows later? I think there's absolutely room for it to grow. I think that especially nowadays, I'm just the kind of person where I want to make sure a season feels like a legitimately whole story, and I definitely pepper in a lot of like, here's how it could go this way, it could go that way. We're going to hold her to this, because there is so much filler in these shows that it is so difficult to watch. They stretch out what
I actually agree with him. I don't like that Ahsoka ended basically on stay tuned for next season while we resolve a lot of these plot lines. Like, I'm sure we're getting a season 2 of Ahsoka. I don't like that they ended it like that. I do like seasons having complete stories. I don't like shows ending on cliffhangers. And filler, I guess it depends. Like the shorter shows, like Kenobi, the ones that are only 6 episodes, like there's not really much filler in that show, but there's also not enough time to like let the characters breathe and have the story really build out. Andor, I think, is a really well-paced show. I don't think there's any filler in that show, although he would probably argue the breakfast scenes are filler, but I think showing the emasculation of Cyril is kind of important to his character. But yeah, no, like a lot of the Disney Plus shows, there's filler. I haven't really watched the cartoons. The I haven't watched Bad Batch, I should say. I've watched Rebels and the Clone Wars. But yeah, I haven't watched Bad Batch, so you know he knows better about Bad Batch than I do. Maybe there's filler in there, but anyway,
Could be done in 2 to 3 episodes into an 8-episode season, and it's madness. So by her saying, I think there's room for it to grow, I assume that she's meaning it can grow in either direction. We can go further before the Phantom Menace, or we can go right up into the Phantom Menace. And if they do that, I mean, you know, you really at that point are starting to tread into Palpatine territory, Palpatine rising to political power, becoming a chancellor, and, you know, Plagueis, and then Dooku and Qui-Gon, and all of this and that in there. So it's, you know, that to me is a very interesting time. I don't know how that would turn out with her behind it. We have to watch the Acolyte and see, but I wouldn't really want her to touch that with a 10-foot pole just from her comments before. I also
really, which comments? The power ones? Because you didn't understand that? Like, what's wrong with her? Have you seen any of her other work? I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he isn't just like, oh, well, I don't trust her because she's a whammon in Star Wars, but like, he's had sexist comments about women in Star Wars. Like, he literally had he had a conversation with a woman who was saying that Star Wars isn't for women because she'd never even seen it, and he was just nodding and smiling along. And he later said, "Oh, I didn't agree with her at all," but he didn't give her any pushback. And actually, I watched Chariot do a video exposing how dishonest he was about all of that. So I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't give him the benefit of doubt. Maybe I should assume that he doesn't want her to touch it because she's a woman.
also don't want to leave the audience hanging emotionally. I want to leave them hanging narratively, but emotionally. I want them to feel like they've watched a whole thing and then still have a bunch of questions at the end, like, wait, now that I've learned this relationship exists, what's going to happen with those people? And now that this person has this type of power, what are we going to do about that? So I think it can definitely have some of that. Now that
That's a good way to leave it. Have the narrative concluded, but have it open enough that you go like, "Oh, what could they do next season? Oh, this would be fun."
this person has this type of power, what are we going to do about that? Okay, so clearly there's a probably very impatient person who has a lot of force abilities or force latency. They train and now they can exhibit force powers, and they're evil and they're going to use it for whatever they want.
I don't think when she says power that she is just talking about power in the force. There's other kinds of power. Like Palpatine's main power wasn't even his force ability, it was his political power. So when she says power, I don't think she's just talking about midi-chlorian counts, my dude.
And they're not going to be bound by the Jedi Code. That's interesting. We borrowed a lot from the High Republic in terms of the costuming. We thought it was really, really cool to start with what we called temple robes, which in the High Republic they're always used. But we thought it would be interesting if the white robes were the temple look, then the classic brown robes were what we've seen them in the often... I don't really care about this. You're the first woman to create a live-action Star Wars show. Hey, Deborah Chow, Bryce Dallas Howard. Can you explain how...
Deborah Chow directed Kenobi, but I don't think she was the showrunner for it. Bryce Dallas Bryce Dallas Howard directed a couple episodes of Mandalorian, but she didn't create that show. So yeah, you're wrong here. sorry, you're wrong here.
How important that is, and if diversity was a big focus while casting too. God. These questions just bug me. And
Okay, so he's just complaining because he thinks diversity is not important. Like, diversity to him gets in the way of the story. Like, it makes me think of how Darren Aronofsky defended only casting white people in Noah, and that he didn't want race to be a distraction in the movie. And that was like, race isn't a distraction. You just kind of suck. Races exist, right? Like, I mean, like, the concept of race is a social construct, but like the people who are assigned to that social construct, they're real people. They exist in the world, and they deserve their stories to be told as well. If he's just going to complain because they're, casting a diverse group of people, like, it's not like the Jedi all come from like a single hegemonic group in, like, a white suburban neighborhood. They're, force users, or like they scour the galaxy for infant force users, and then bring them in to be trained, which, like, that is its own kind of a unethical thing. Like, the Jedi are basically a cult that trains child warriors. Like, that's kind of my opinion on it. But yeah, like, if you're going throughout the galaxy and finding different people with force abilities, of course they're going to be diverse. They're not all going to be white dudes.
it's, it always gets spun like, yo, you don't care about diversity. I think these questions are so stupid. I don't think there should be any sort of concern about diversity. There should be concern about story. Pick the best person for the part. I don't think that there should be some.
Okay, yeah. Well, why is the best person for the part always a white guy then? Like, you never complain about, oh, you should pick the best person for the part if it's all a white cast. Like, that's never brought up. It's only ever brought up when they start casting people who are, of a different race or gender.
Sort of a checklist. Just do what you got to do to tell a story in Star Wars.
Yep.
Just like George did. What I'd say is I'm very proud.
George Lucas didn't have any black people in the original Star Wars, and he was criticized for it, and that's why we got Lando Calrissian. Lando Calrissian was created specifically because George Lucas was criticized for not having black people in space. And I don't think you would complain about the addition of Lando Calrissian. I don't know for a fact your opinion on Lando Calrissian, but I know everybody else's opinion on Lando Calrissian is that he's a cool motherfucker. So I have to imagine, especially because it's the era that you love, that you gotta love Lando as well, right? Like, that, I think that's a safe assumption to make, and that was deliberately a diversity choice to introduce that character as a response to criticism that his films weren't diverse enough.
Be the first woman to create, produce, direct, and showrun a Star Wars series. Obviously, Deborah Chow directed Obi-Wan, and many, many women have contributed to the films, but to be the person at the center of the narrative, the word that's coming to mind is it's a real honor. It's so special to me. I think it's a thing that is rare, and the fact that I get to be that person that is doing that, I think, is a testament to how much I love Star Wars, and how I would not stop until I got to make one. So it's a testament to that, and it's a testament to tenacity, and it's also a testament to how much I love this world, and how honored I am to be working on it. Well, good for you, man. I mean, you're doing your thing and you're following your dreams. That's awesome.
Okay, I know he said good for you, man, just as like a general, like, come on, man. Like I don't think he was deliberately like misgendering her. I just feel like he's being rude.
But at the end of the day, I just want it to be a good story. Have it created by AI for all I care. I don't.
Oh my god! I just talked about AI. Of course, he's somebody he probably would love a slop Star Wars script created by AI. Oh god. Oh, I hate that that's probably true. Oh. Yeah, I just did an AI segment. Why are you doing this to me, man? Come on. I thought we were friends.
I don't care. I think with the cast, honestly, there were just all the people that I wanted. I saw Squid Game and I had written this character and I had no idea who to cast. And I had no idea who was going to be able to play all of these different levels. And then I thought about Squid Game and I was like, that's the guy, that's him. I don't know how I get in touch with this person. I don't know if they want to perform in English. Wait, so let me get this straight. She had a Squid Game binge and she was feeling it and she figured that he would be the best person for the role. And then when I worked with him, I was like,
yeah, that happens a lot. Like, writers often write a part with a specific actor in mind. And like, they don't always get that actor, like, and you know, you can get somebody else to do it, but like that's very common for uh projects to be written with a specific actor in mind. And it's never a problem when it's a white person.
this is the best actor I've ever worked with. Watching him perform in English for the first time.
Oh, Luna says, don't forget his AI Luke Skywalker thing. That's right. I did a video on that. He was literally using AI deepfakes of Mark Hamill without Mark Hamill's permission. So yeah, of course he thinks AI is fine. And Sebastian Noble, thank you so much for the $2. You're back, and you know what that means? Money. Thank you so much.
And tracking the emotional beats, doing so much of his own action. Obviously, we had an amazing stunt team that did the stunts. He did so much of his own action, which I had no idea he could do. And then somebody like Daphne Keane, I'd loved so much in Logan. I think she's a great character. You want to talk about a great actor? I think Daphne Keene's a great actor. And I was like, you know,
all right, I was worried for a second, but like Logan is so kind of universally loved as a movie that I have to imagine he'd be like, no, Logan was a good movie, so I like Daphne Keane.
What would be great? I'd love to see X-23 with a lightsaber. How do we make that happen? So that's what I would say about the diversity of the cast. Oh
my god, wait. Okay, just saying X-23 with a lightsaber. Like, I know Daphne Keane played X-23 and she's not going to be... Wouldn't it be cool to have like a lightsaber glove, like have Wolverine style lightsaber claws? You just put on the glove and it just comes out like they're, you know, lightsaber knuckles or something. That would be cool.
They were people that were essentially my first choice. I wrote this part that Charlie Barnett played, who I worked with on Russian Doll. This doesn't give too much away about the character, but he's such an A+ student. He's like A+ Jedi. And that's Charlie in real life. He's such a good actor, and he wants to be really good. So when it came time to casting that character, you know, who would be just perfect as Charlie? I've seen him just do whatever it takes to get the scene. So to me, this kind of reads as just like, you know, she watched a bunch of films and she liked the characters, and she just, you know, casted them, you know, instead of kind of like maybe going through like a process of seeing who, you know, maybe like some...
That's part of the process. Also, it's not like she thought of actors that she wanted and then didn't audition those parts. Like, I'm pretty sure when you are casting like series regulars, there's like union requirements to audition for the part. But like, you can encourage the people that you want to audition, and you know, if they audition, then you're like, okay, great, that's who I wanted to work with. And like, I can see an argument for saying, well, you know, you should probably write the script and then see who shows up for it. But like, it's not like it's not like everybody that she had in mind that she was casting were like A-list actors, right? I think it's fine for a creative to be like, I want to work with this person, and then hire that person. And like directors who use the same actors in a lot of stuff, like Christopher Nolan, like, I understand that, because once you have built a rapport with certain people, you know each other's working style and you get it down to a science, basically. You want to keep working with them in other projects. That's what Christopher Nolan does. He just kind of has like a standing, you know, like a an acting troupe that he works with, because they know each other's style really well, and he, you know, they have built up you know, levels of communication and trust with each other over years and years and years of making films together. Like, I get that makes sense to me. That's not necessarily like a, oh well, you're not giving other people a chance thing. It can be, but I understand where that's coming from, and that's not a negative thing from a creative standpoint, you know?
Somebody who's no name could come in and, you know, really steal the scene. take the part. I don't really know. Maybe they did do that, but
I'm sure they auditioned for all of these roles, and if somebody came in who brought something that they weren't expecting, or like, you know, blew them away, it may very well have been that they'll be like, oh, let's go with this person instead. That happens. So, yeah, I wasn't in the casting room. I don't know how that process took place. I'm just saying, it feels like he's looking for things to nitpick here. Which, to be fair, I'm watching a Star Wars Theory video looking for things to nitpick. So, I guess turnabout's fair play.
To me, it just kind of seems like, you know, she was watching some stuff that she liked, and she's like, hey, you know, that would be cool to have this person on. That'd be cool to have that person on. But it seems like she took that from a professional standpoint in terms of their acting, and wasn't just, you know, like fangirling over these characters or these actors. So yeah, I mean, the people she chose, yeah, I think Lee Jung-jae is fine actor. I wouldn't say he's the best actor in the world. I'm sure there are many qualified.
I've never seen Squid Game, so I don't know what kind of an actor he is. I don't know that there even is, like, when he said, I'm sure he's not the best actor in the world, like, why even say that? Like, I don't really think anybody's the best actor in the world. Like, you know, because I don't think there's like one thing where it's like somebody is better than every other actor at every other aspect of acting, right? But like, even if that were the case, there's only one of those people, and they're probably too busy to do a Star Wars TV show. So, yeah.
Actors out there who could perform a great job playing any of these characters. Daphne Keane, I think, is really fantastic. I think she had so much range in Logan, and she was so young that probably her acting has just developed over time. So that's definitely a character that I'm very excited to see on screen playing in the Acolyte. She's probably the Acolyte, to be honest. It's probably what's going to happen. But as for all this, look, I was one of the first people, I think I was the first person on YouTube to continuously talk about how excited I am for the Acolyte years ago when we got a hint of it coming out. That we're going to be getting a show about this. And I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of the things that Leslie Headland has said regarding George Lucas or Star Wars in general.
What has she said about George Lucas? Like, was it something that I missed that was in this article, or are you talking about other things?
I'm not a huge fan of the things that her actors have said regarding Star Wars being a patriarchy and all of this nonsense. But at the end of the day, it's still...
I mean, okay, yeah, so it is just sexism. All right.
Still very capable for people like this to create something that is very akin to Star Wars and very good. I don't want to get ahead of myself and say that that's exactly what it's going to be, but I really am a student of patience, of waiting, and not jumping the gun. I would really like to wait and see and be hopeful that this is going to be a really well-made project with Dave Filoni having overseen things. That being said, am I skeptical? You bet your booty I am. So, hey, we're going to go through it together. We're going to see what happens. It's just a few months away now, so cross your fingers.
Do you have anything more to say? What do you got?
Hope you all have a great day. Let me know what you think.
Okay, he's wrapping up. Yeah, all right. So anyway, okay. So those are his thoughts on the interview. It really does seem like he has some sexism under the surface that he's trying to keep in check, because he got canceled for that before when he was too overt with it. But like, it's coming out. He was complaining about, like, oh, the actors were talking about the patriarchy, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, patriarchy exists. But yeah, oh, and Linda Rose says he doesn't jump the gun. Red Saber means Sith. Yeah, no, I thought about that, but I didn't say it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, he is jumping the gun. He's like, well, all of these people have to die because they saw a red lightsaber and it's not Darth Maul. So otherwise that line from Phantom Menace will be discounted because Red Saber means Sith. Anyway. Why is this guy the largest Star Wars YouTuber? It should be me, is all I'm saying. And I'll leave it with that. Okay. Let's get the music going again. All right. Give me a second. I need some water. And then we've got some movies to review. All right. we have enough films about gay rights. It's about damn time we got some films about gay wrongs. Love Lies Bleeding is a movie about gay wrongs. This trailer, when I first saw it, is probably one of the best trailers I have ever seen, and I think I left a comment on the trailer saying this movie had better be good so it doesn't diminish how good the trailer is. And I will say, I don't think the movie met my expectations, but I don't think it ruined the trailer either. It's a weird and psychedelic film. It's a story about a hitchhiking bodybuilder who meets up with a gym manager. They're both women. They hook up. They start a relationship, but the gym manager, her dad, runs an organized crime thing, and a lot of that stuff is like they don't explicitly say a lot of what is going on. They kind of, there's more of like a montage thing where the show don't tell, but leave enough for you to be able to fill in the gaps. Go, okay, like they don't need to spell out everything that's going on here. It's kind of more of an experience, and because one of the characters, Jackie, is a bodybuilder. She wants to go to Vegas to participate in a bodybuilding competition, and she starts taking steroids. And the film is kind of psychedelic, but in a way I haven't seen before. And basically, it's a lot of the film is us experiencing her mental side effects of steroid use. Like she, manic symptoms, aggression, paranoia, and I don't know if steroids cause hallucination or if that was just more of an artistic flair. But if you've seen the trailers, like there's shots of her taking the steroids and then like hulking out, and there are moments where in her steroid rage she's becomes a bigger person. Like there's a scene where her head almost touches the ceiling, and those scenes are like supposed to be like, they're not literal, like she didn't actually become a 10-foot tall woman or anything like that, but it's like giving you the feel of how she is without like explicitly telling you, oh yeah, no, this is all in her head. They're like, the way it's presented, it's just presented as, yes, this is what's happening, but even though like it's fairly obvious, like, okay, yeah, no, this is part of her growing psychosis from some bad side effects of steroid use. Luna Rose says, yeah, you can experience hallucinations on steroids. Well, you did MMA, so I will trust you on that one. Almost everyone in this movie is kind of awful for some reason or another, and like the people who aren't awful are like tragic and pitiable. It's not like it's a story about queer love, but in a pretty toxic way. People are doing bad things for each other to look out for each other, but it's like it's all just a big mess. But it is a really good ride, I would say. There's a lot of fun twists and turns, a lot of really creative stuff. Like I said, it's got some psychedelic stuff in there, and I remember watching the trailers going like, because like it shows some of that in the trailers, but I was just like, I'm not sure what this heightened reality stuff is going to be. Having it be psychosis brought on by steroid use is a very interesting angle. I definitely liked this film more than the other lesbian road trip film that I just saw, which was Drive Away Dolls. And that's probably because Drive Away Dolls was made by a straight dude, and this was directed by a woman who I don't know if she's queer, but well, Kristen Stewart stars in this movie, and Kristen Stewart is queer as hell. Did anybody see that photo shoot she recently did? She's queer. So I would recommend seeing this one. It wasn't as good as I had hoped it would be, but it is a lot of fun. Really great performances, really gay. If you're gay, this is a gay movie for you. There it is. Okay. As you can see on the text on screen, there is a certain word, and I am saying it because it is in the title of the movie. The American Society of Magical Negroes is a kind of a rom-com film, sort of. Why don't I explain what a magical Negro is? Here, let's take a look over to Wikipedia. The magical Negro is a trope in American cinema, television, and literature. In the cinema of the United States, the magical Negro is a supporting stock character who comes to the aid of white protagonists in a film. Magical Negro characters, often possessing special insight or mystical powers, have long been a tradition in American fiction. The old-fashioned word Negro is used to imply that a magical black character who devotes himself to selflessly helping whites is a throwback to racist stereotypes such as the Sambo or noble savage. And it cites examples like The Green Mile and The Legend of Bagger Vance. And this film actually, deliberately parodies those. So the idea is that this American society, it's a group of African Americans who have magic abilities that they use to basically appease white discomfort. Anytime somebody white is getting too discomforted, they magic in one of these people to go in and basically give them some old-fashioned folksy advice, with that good old, inoffensive and non-threatening charm. And the concept is deliberately feeling very backwards because this film is a critique of this trope. And I was worried seeing the trailers because it's presented as a rom-com. The main character, he gets inducted into the society, that I was worried that it was going to be focused a little bit too much on the rom-com elements, because the idea is once you have a client, the white person who needs their white discomfort to be lowered to acceptable levels, once you have that client, you can't put your needs before that client. Because, one of the big parts of the magical Negro archetype is that they are there completely subservient to the white person. They don't have their own story. They're just part of the white person's story. They're just there to help the white person along. And so when he falls in love with a girl at his work, with the guy that, he's supposed to be the client for, and then he starts getting interested in her as well, he can't pursue this girl anymore. Because if you use your magic to put your own needs ahead of your clients, that can cause the magic to fail for the entire society, because it's a collective thing. Because the idea is that them being one of the good ones to, make white people feel more comfortable only works if they're all doing it. And if they stop doing it, then the whole thing collapses like a house of cards. The idea is, and in fact, at one point, the magic starts to fail for a bunch of them. And so they get summoned back to headquarters, and they find out that one of their members had berated her colleague at a lab because he hadn't read a foundational text. And she's like, well, maybe you should read it. And oh, you yelled at him. Yeah, you broke the rules. You are now doomed to the worst fate imaginable, being a black woman in America without the protection of having the magic. But it also doesn't make sense because they deliberately, like I said, here we've got the Green Mile as an example. They have a reference to the Green Mile. When he joins the society, they have these magical candles that show memories of different events. And so they have one that just completely parodies how the Green Mile played out, where in that movie, John Coffey was the magical Negro character, and he's on death row, and but he has magic abilities. but he gets executed at the end. And in this movie, he's being walked to the execution chair, and he's still given all this, wise sage advice for the prison guard and everything, which doesn't gel with the fact that they're saying that they're doing this to protect themselves, and that by being in this society, they are safe from white aggression, because that guy gets executed. So that is that's a plot hole, pretty big one in it. I don't know if maybe that was deliberate to show that even though they think that they're safe, they really aren't. Or honestly, I think more so it was probably just we wanted to make fun of the Green Mile in this one. Anyway, let me move this away. There's, I think, a really nice moment of catharsis at the end of the film when he decides to, stop being subservient to the white man, to, advocate for his own wants and needs, because he gets recruited to this society to begin with because he's, an artist and he's at an art exhibition, but he, is kind of like a wallflower the whole time, and he works very hard to keep himself small. He apologizes every time he gets in somebody's way, and his mentor, played by David Allen Greer, I think, he's a waiter at the event, and he sees him and he's just like, oh, this guy is spending his entire life navigating white discomfort. He's perfect for the society. But yeah, once he decides to put his own needs first, decide, you know what, no, I want this girl, and he's working at some tech company that's like Facebook or something like that, and they're trying to do a big diversity push because they recently had a software push that made the entire nation of Ghana unable to access their website because it uses facial biometrics, and the team that had coded that hadn't had any black people on the team. And so, they basically tell him that the only reason he's part of this presentation is because they need the diversity, and he confronts the guy on it, and they have a big argument while it's being broadcast to the entire company because they're presenting the new products to the company. And there's a lot of you can tell a lot. I mean, this is a black made film. You can tell a lot of the grievances and the anxieties and just the frustrations with having to put white needs before your own really comes out. It's a pretty cathartic moment. But there was a really interesting thing, because once he starts confronting the guy, because the guy told him, "You're here because we need the diversity," he walks up to him on stage. Is like, "I didn't like that. I didn't like that I'm only here as a diversity guy." And the guy responds, "What? No, I'm not racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body. I have never done anything racist. Ask anyone. I'm not racist." He's like, "I don't care about that. I don't care if you're racist. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about how I felt." So this isn't about you at the moment. This is about me. And that was a really, I liked that. That was a really interesting moment where, when people are confronted with racist things that they have done, their first thing is to be like, "Oh, I'm not racist. I have black friends," rather than listening to what the actual complaint is, what the actual you're not listening to the feelings of the person who is aggrieved. You're concerned so much with defending yourself that you're not actually listening to the other person as a human being, which I thought that was interesting. There's some weird stuff with the whole romance subplot, and it's not as much of a laugh out loud comedy as I would have thought from the trailer. But it is the film is secondarily a comedy and primarily just a comment on just racial relationships in America and deconstructing this trope. Would I recommend it? Maybe. I honestly if anything that I've said about this movie to you makes it sound interesting to you, then yeah, go for it. But maybe if you're white and what I've talked about makes you feel discomforted, then probably go see it. But otherwise, I don't know. I was worried it was going to be a little bit too libby in its presentation, and it kind of is. There's something more to it than that, but I thought the film could have gone harder. That's an interesting transition. Okay, here we go. I have never seen a Kung Fu Panda. But here we are with the fourth one. I had to do a little bit of research to get some stuff filled in here, but you know what? It's a kids movie. The movie pretty much stands on its own. Let's go from there. This is, the fourth movie in the Kung Fu Panda franchise, and Po, the Dragon Warrior, he's basically like reached the peak of being a Dragon Warrior. He's a celebrity now, and he's like posing for photos with people and basically just opening gift shops. The Valley of Peace is pretty peaceful now, and now that he is basically kind of fulfilled his role as a Dragon Warrior, it's time for him to ascend to become spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace. But he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't think he has any kind of real wisdom to impart to everyone else, and he's really good at being the Dragon Warrior, so that's what he wants to do. But one of the messages of the film is that you gotta, you can't stagnate. Like, life is change and growth, and so he has to learn he has to pick a successor and become the spiritual leader. And I like part of that message, but one of the issues that I take with it is that he doesn't seem like he's at all suited to being the spiritual leader of the Valley of Wisdom. And he seems really good at being the Dragon Warrior, and there's a concept of being promoted past your level of competence. Say in The Office, Michael Scott, great salesman, one of the best salesmen that the paper company ever had, not a good manager, but he got promoted to being a manager because he was such a good salesman. So it's that kind of a thing. And they don't really address that. They just kind of assume at some point that he's, he'll get there, he'll find that wisdom. A lot of this, he does keep kind of trying to come up with fortune cookie sayings throughout the film, and comes up with a kind of decent one at the end of it. So the implication is he'll grow, he'll figure it out. But I don't know, I don't think just because he's a Dragon Warrior that he has to then become spiritual leader. I feel like those are two different skill sets. Axel says, do you think this will be the last Kung Fu Panda movie? I have no idea. This is the only one I've ever seen. But so the film is about, there's a new villain called the Chameleon, who she's a sorceress and a shapeshifter who's trying to, steal the kung fu of everyone else so that she can become the ultimate warrior. And I kind of thought they would have done more to build her up as a villain. She only meets Po at the end of the film when it's time to do battle, and I don't know, I thought they could have done a little bit more to build her up as a villain there. We see her a couple of times just dealing with she's kind of a crime lord. She's the town that she's in, she's kind of collecting tributes from all of the different organized crime things and stuff like that. But I don't know, she didn't feel like that compelling of a character to me. Awkwafina is in this. She plays this, scrappy criminal sidekick to Po, and it's a very Awkwafina character, but fortunately she doesn't do the obnoxious black scent that she does too often, that she's been heavily criticized for because she's not black, and didn't grow up in an urban area or anything like that. It is an affect that she has put on to, you can find criticism of Awkwafina for that. Fortunately, she doesn't do that here. I think her performance here is fairly serviceable. I do take issue with the idea that big budget animated movies always have to cast celebrity voices rather than established voice actor talent. I like Jack Black. I think his performance as Po is fine. But he's also been doing this for, since 2006 was the first movie, I think. So I don't think if you're going to have a new character that you should necessarily cast a big name. I don't even think anyone was coming here for Awkwafina, right? they're coming here because it's the 4th movie, and Jack Black's of course coming back as Poe. So you could have cast that as anyone, but yeah, I don't know. If you're looking for 90 minutes of a silly fun time, it's good. Oh, there was one plot line that I actually really liked in this movie, and it's, I guess, Poe's adoptive dad who raised him is Ping, the goose. And then, like, I guess his real dad shows up in one of the later movies, Li Shan. And so, while Poe is off doing his adventure, like, Ping and Li Shan are kind of have like, you know, an odd couple, 2 gay dads worried about their son kind of a thing. They're not explicitly gay in the movie. It's just they both, you know, they're both his dad. One raised him, one is his biological father, and they both worry about him and stuff. And they have like their own little buddy comedy moments. And I thought that stuff was really cute. And it's nice to, you know, show kids, hey, we've got to. Here's 2 gay dads. Uh-oh, my chat disconnected and reconnected. Okay, sorry. That was weird. Did anybody like lose? Did I lose any frames or anything like that? It was weird that chat disconnected, but here, let me do a test. Okay. Anyway, it's a cute movie. Not on your end? Okay, must have just been some weird glitch on my end. But yeah, it's a cute movie. It's fine. I'm not, you know, like trying to break down the theater doors to go see Kung Fu Panda. Why do I keep doing that? I've said that offline so many times. Kung Fu Panda 5. I don't need to see that one. Maybe I'll see it if there's nothing else going on, but it's not like it's something that's really screaming, "Oh, this is for gay fest," you know? But it's cute. It's fine. Oh boy, I want to talk about this one. So, if you exist on the internet and you have watched cartoons at all, you probably have heard everybody talk about how awesome the 90s X-Men cartoon was, especially the theme music, the da 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 da. Da, 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 da. You know, everyone loves that one. It's great. And I loved that show growing up because I was, you know, growing up, I was the exact right age for that show when it was first coming out. You know, I was in elementary school, Saturday morning, X-Men cartoons. God, oh man, that show was awesome. I went back to watch it as an adult, I think once it was on Disney Plus, and I was watching a lot of it going, you know, this doesn't hold up as well as I thought. There's a lot of like really bad writing in it. Actually, probably one of my favorite examples of like the kid Saturday morning cheesiness of it is there is a scene in the original show where the side of a building collapses on top of Storm, and me as an adult goes, "Oh God, she could be crushed to death," but because this is a show for kids and kids don't really understand blunt force trauma because of years and years and years of cartoon characters hitting each other on the head with hammers to no ill effect, they can't really say, "Oh no, Storm could be crushed to death." No, instead, Cyclops points and goes, "Somebody help Storm, she's claustrophobic." And then it cuts to her buried under the rubble having a panic attack because she's claustrophobic. Which, like, I can appreciate teaching kids about mental health in that way and saying, "Oh yeah, no, claustrophobia, it's a real thing." But when you have a building collapsing on you, I think I would probably be first and foremost worried about whether you were crushed to death, and your mental health we can worry about that after we know that you're alive. Dragon Knight Dragonborn says, "I'm claustrophobic myself, not fun." I imagine it's not fun. I mean, I don't think I have claustrophobia. I don't like being confined, but like, yeah, I can imagine it's not fun. I'm just saying, if a building falls on you, first concern is, are you alive? Then we can worry about, you know, the claustrophobia. Anyway, all that being said, the old show had some not the greatest animation and not the greatest writing, but holds a lot of nostalgic value for people. And so when X-Men 97 got announced, we were all excited for it. And I saw something recently that Kevin Feige said they were only going to do this show under 2 conditions. They had to get the original title sequence music, they had to get the rights for that, and they had to get back the original cast. And both of those are that. Actually, like, if you watch the title sequence for X-Men 97, if you're not paying close attention, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I noticed some slight differences in the musical instrumentation, but it's nothing severe. And obviously, like, you know, they had to reanimate it because the models are slightly different and updated because it's better animation. And also it's a widescreen rather than a 4:3 aspect ratio. But like the pacing and everything, like they very clearly just took the old one and were like, okay, let's just draw this over all of that. It captures its feel as much as possible. The writing for these episodes, there's been 2 episode premiere. They're so good. I know people are going to complain, and, you know, the people who are going to complain can, you know, go pound sand because I don't care about you, but people are like, oh, they made X-Men woke, but X-Men was always woke. X-Men was about, you know, a minority that's being oppressed by society. That's kind of the X-Men's whole jam. And this show is very much hammering home that whole thing. In fact, Magneto is now so I guess in the start of the show, I didn't like finish the original series. You don't need to have finished the original series. Anything like plot wise, like they'll fill you in, although there are some like dialogue references to things that happened in the past that like can fill you in. But basically, Professor X is dead. He was assassinated at the end of the old show, or maybe that happened in between the old show and now, but he's dead. And in his last will and testament, he left the X-Mansion and everything to Magneto. So Magneto is now the head of the X-Men. And let me tell you, that's some conflict. Scott Summers doesn't want anything to do with him, and we get like Magneto going, look, I actually want to honor Charles's wishes and try to lead the X-Men more in his style, but he's still Magneto. He still recognizes the threat that humanity poses, and he recognizes that mutants can't rely on the kindness and the good-heartedness of humanity to save them. It's, you know, mutants have to help mutants first. And I've already made the thumbnail for this for this stream, and it shows Magneto in shackles, but it's captioned, Magneto did nothing wrong. And we get an adaptation of the comic book story, The Trial of Magneto, because Magneto, to prove to the X-Men that he is, you know, here and willing to, you know, to try and improve himself, he submits himself to the justice of the UN, who wants to put him on trial because, you know, well, he's a terrorist. I don't know why the UN is doing that and not like The Hague, but whatever. It's a Saturday Morning Kids cartoon. You can kind of have like vague things where the UN has a lot more power than it does in real life and just does anything like that. But Magneto has some really good speeches in this show. Magneto's anger is understandable. Yes, Magneto's anger is understandable. Like I said, I tweeted out Magneto did nothing wrong. I strongly identify with the, you know, the radical action that Magneto seeks to take. You know, as a leftist, as an anarchist-leaning individual, like I get it. I get not wanting to submit yourself to the mercy of the oppressor. That makes sense to me. And like I just reviewed the American Society of Magical, I'm not going to say the last word, and that film is like about the issues with just using appeasement to try and get your oppressor to, you know, treat you better. And like Charles Xavier's whole approach with the X-Men is to show humanity that they have nothing to fear from mutants, that the X-Men are champions of humanity, that the X-Men are there to protect humanity. And obviously that hasn't worked because like there's still mutant hate everywhere, and like the villains are so on the nose with it. There's a guy who is getting in a fight with Scott, and he's just like, you know what I hate most about you mutants? It's all the whining. Like, we all have problems. Our lives are all tough. It's not just you mutants who have to deal with it, but we don't whine about it like you do. And I'm like, I have heard people say this exact same thing about like black people. I've heard racist whites talk about how black people are just complaining when things aren't going their way. Like, I've heard this exact speech, and there's like a hate group called Friends of Humanity that have like baseball caps, like they're MAGA hats or something. They're not colored red, but it's like they've got baseball caps. They're basically kind of like a combination of like January 6th rioters and Proud Boys. And like especially in this episode, because as Magneto is on trial at the UN, there's a whole bunch of people who think that the UN has betrayed them for even giving him a trial. They think he should just be summarily executed because he's a mutie, you know? And Magneto goes full Magneto because like basically they storm the UN building, and like he has to like, you know, go and fight them to even protect like the UN judges who were like putting him on trial and everything like that. It's a really good episode. And that's the second episode. The first episode really just is like, here we are, here's all of the X-Men, and here's Cyclops in command. And Cyclops has some really cool action in this show. His I-beams they're like, a lot of people have like misunderstood his I-beams as being like lasers with like heat and stuff like that, but what it is like, I think his eyes are a portal to a dimension of pure kinetic energy, and so his eye blasts are actually just like it's just kinetic energy. It's like getting punched with his eyeballs. And so because of that, because it's not like, you know, it's not like a heat thing, it's just like a physical pushing force, he actually uses his eye beams to push himself at times. Like, he literally like shoots his eye beams at the floor to slide himself back to like dodge an attack. There's a moment where he falls out of an airplane and eye beams the ground to slow his descent. And like, those are so cool. Now, it's not like consistent in terms of when it works and when it doesn't. It seems like he wills it to be, you know, affecting him a little bit. If you were to actually apply this in real life, where like, you know, the laws of physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, based on the power that his eye beams have, he should be snapping his neck every time he opens his eyes, but I'm willing to forgive that because of a rule of cool. Seriously, look up just the scenes of Cyclops fighting in the show. It's so cool. And honestly, it's about time that people start liking Cyclops again, because Cyclops in the X-Men movies kind of sucks. Kind of a douche. Not the greatest character. Cyclops here, I love him, and you know, he's really having to step up. But also, like, there's a running theme here. Jean Grey is pregnant, and so, you know, both Cyclops and Jean Grey, they're, you know, thinking about, well, we want to start a family. Maybe it's time we retire from the X-Men and go off and like, you know, earn the life that we've been fighting for. But like, basically every episode something comes up to stop them, you know, from retiring. Like in the first episode, it's like, well, Professor X just died and you're the leader, so like, shouldn't you be the leader? But he's like, no, I think I'm gonna pick another leader. But then they find out, oh wait, Magneto has just inherited the X-Mansion. He's the leader, and so he doesn't want to leave little Magneto's there. And then other things come in. You know, I don't want to give away the ending of episode 2, because, you know, each one of these episodes kind of ends in a cliffhanger. I'll let you see that so that you can be excited for next week. But That seems like one of the big things. Logan definitely is still dealing with his unrequited feelings for Jean, which, you know, considering Jean's having a baby, like, it's kind of over for you, dude. And like Morph, who's kind of been bumped up to a lead character here, they actually don't know Morph's pronouns in the show, but I heard that Morph is non-binary, so I'm just gonna go with they until I know otherwise. But Morph and Logan, they're buddies, and Morph is often like just given Logan pep talks and while transforming into different characters and stuff. I'm interested to see more with what they do with Morph here. But Storm in the show, oh my god. Okay, when the X-Men movie came out, I was so profoundly disappointed with Halle Berry's performance, and part of that is the writing for it, but also because my expectations for who Storm is had been entirely set by the 90s cartoon. Storm has this grandiose, operatic, booming voice where she calls upon the elements. Wind, hear my call! You know, stuff like that, where it's so cool. And like, oh, in the first episode when she, like, when the Sentinels, like, detect her and they're like, Omega level threat detected, and she like literally strolls in like a god. It's so cool. God, I missed that Storm. Like, this is just, she is what Storm is in my mind. I can't picture her portrayed any other way because it's just, it doesn't feel as good. Like I said, I started this off by saying that the X-Men cartoon from the 90s isn't as good as I remembered it from my nostalgia goggles, but Storm was always awesome. She kicks so much ass in this show. I like that all of the characters are still, you know, they got all of the original voice actors to voice them. There is one change. Jubilee has a different voice actress because I think it was a white woman voicing her originally, and Jubilee's Asian. And they also, the models have been updated, and Jubilee does look more explicitly Asian in this show. In the 90s one, it was kind of ambiguous. You could read her as white, but they draw her more explicitly Asian here, and she has a different voice actress. But I think the actress for Jubilee is going to voice somebody else in the show, so she still gets to come back. Just, you know, they wanted to make sure that they were having proper representation in the voice cast, and I get that. I really like this show. I think it really... It kicks ass. The action is all really cool. Like, there's a scene where Gambit charges Wolverine's claws with the kinetic energy that Gambit does, and then Wolverine bounces off of Morph's belly, who Morph turned into Blob, so he's got a big belly that Wolverine can bounce off of, and he goes and flies right into a Sentinel and decapitates him with the big boom. It's awesome. Really fun stuff like that. Stuff that you don't feel that synergy between superheroes in a lot of the MCU stuff. Like in the first Avengers you would get that, but oftentimes it feels like every superhero team up is just, okay, here's me doing my power, I'm punching these guys, you're over there punching those guys. For a team like the X-Men, you really gotta show the power synergy. You gotta sometimes throw a fastball special. And I can't say enough good things about this show. Yeah, Luna Rose, it's on Disney Plus. First 2 episodes are out right now. It's airing every Wednesday. I'm gonna be reviewing every episode of this season. I hope it continues beyond this, but I am blown away by how good this show is. I can't say enough good things about it. Please go see it. Luna Rose says, is this post-Phoenix Jean Grey or pre-Phoenix? I think it's post-Phoenix. I think they did the Dark Phoenix storyline in the original series. Yeah, actually, there is a line where she talks about having been possessed by a cosmic alien entity. So yeah, I think they did the Dark Phoenix saga already. But I think they might be doing more to tie back into that. We'll see. Well, who knows what stories they're going with. Anyway, really enjoyed this show. So good. Can't recommend it enough. All right, Invincible, season 2, episode 6. This is kind of a decompression episode in that we ended last episode on a cliffhanger with a bunch of characters' fates in the air. This one resolves a lot of those fates. And, well, because we had some character deaths, a lot of people are dealing with that. But it is very much like Invincible is like, he's kind of between big missions and he's thinking about his life and particularly his relationship with Amber and, the relationship struggles that they've had there. And a big chunk of this episode is just devoted to them, like, considering how they're gonna keep the relationship going or if they want to keep the relationship going. There's actually a really cool scene where Amber goes to Eve while Mark goes to Art, the tailor, and they basically have the same conversation. Like, they keep cutting back and forth between them where people are finishing each other's sentences from the other conversation, where basically both of them are just worried about does this relationship work? Can it work? And it's some good stuff, some good, like, mature talking about what happens when people love each other but they might not necessarily be compatible. I think this is doing a lot. Like I said, Amber in the comics was a nothing character. She was just a white blonde girl who was the generic mandatory love interest for Mark. I never really cared for her. This version of Amber in the show, while I know people were upset with her in the first season for how she treated Mark for keeping the secret from her, I really like her as a character. And she even, like, addresses that, where, like, for her, the biggest problem in their relationship had been the lying. And now that he's told her the truth, even though she knew, like, now that she knows that he's a superhero and she has that expectation, he doesn't have to lie to her anymore. But she does. She has to lie to other people. She has to cover for Mark, and that's getting to her and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah. Axel says, so how do you think Rex will escape? Well, that was last episode. This episode, they actually kind of do a fake out, because last episode ends with a gun pointed at his head. And this episode starts with him getting shot in the head, and you think that he's dead, but actually it turns out he survives somehow. I guess they even make a joke about, I guess, he didn't have enough brains for that to have killed you. But like I said, and like last episode, I thought that both Duplicate and Shrinking Ray had died, but Shrinking Ray, while she was injured by getting swallowed by a guy and crushed, she was able to shrink down, and, like, she's recovering. But Duplicate is dead. And Immortal, who was dating her, he's taking it really hard. And, he's lived countless lives. He's thousands of years old. He was Abe Lincoln at one point. So he's, loved and lost before, but he feels like this is different. Like, he had a different connection to her, and he's in a bad way now, and he's very mopey, and, like, Cecil even tries to force him to take a vacation and all that stuff. So he's dealing with it. And Rex, he got messed up. He got shot in the head. He's missing a hand. He's in a long road to recovery. Yeah. As for Eve, because Eve went with them to help fight the Sequids in space, and then they were able to stop the Sequids and get back home and stuff. But she had kind of retired from superheroing, but she decided to go and help them out. Now Cecil's like, you get when you decide to change your mind, come actually join the Guardians, because we're down a couple members. So she's got to sit with that and have a decision on that. But like I said, this is a decompression episode. This is an episode where a lot of people are just dealing with their feelings. And then we also have Debbie, who last episode had a new kid dropped in her lap, and Mark's brother, who she names him Oliver, she decides, no, I'm going to raise him. I'm not doing it for Nolan, I'm doing it for Mark. This is Mark's brother. It's some of the only family that he has left. I'm going to raise him. And, like, Cecil wants to take the kid away and raise him in a lab that they've got. And she's like, look, I raised Mark. I know how to raise an alien kid, okay? So, you know, she's... And you know, Oliver loves her. Is already calling her mama. And, you know, because Oliver, even though he's only a couple months old, he's like... He looks like he's, like, 2 or 3 now. He's growing really rapidly, already saying words. I still don't understand why he's got purple skin if the Thraxans are green-skinned and the Viltrumites have human skin tones, but whatever. I don't know how those genes interact. But yeah, Oliver, I'm looking forward to Oliver growing up more and becoming more of a character. Right now, he's just a toddler, but they're dealing with that, and I like that Debbie gets a more established character and more time devoted to her than the comics did. Because Debbie gets like she's looking for a nanny, and every nanny that comes to interview has been somebody handpicked by Cecil to like spy on her, and you know, so she keeps rejecting them until one comes in who's just like, yes, Cecil contacted me, I'm not answering to him, and I have a lot of job security because there's only a very few people who can do the kind of work that I do, so I am here to work for you and Oliver. I am not answering to Cecil. So Debbie's got a nanny who seems to be in her corner. I don't remember this character from the comics. She might have existed. But they do a lot to sell you that, yes, she can be trusted. I don't know if she can, but, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the first half of this season, as Nolan is being taken away by the Viltrumites, he told Mark to read his books. And Mark is commenting on that, like, he didn't even tell me I love you or I'm sorry. He said, read my books. Why would he say that? And then because he like looked through some of his travel books but didn't see anything. But then he mentions that to Art, and Art's like, oh, well, he used to write sci-fi novels. He gave me a bunch as a gift. I never read them, but here, you can have them. And Mark reads them and starts realizing these aren't just sci-fi stories. They're actual events. They're documentations of alien beings and devices and stuff that could pose a threat to Viltrumites. And Alan shows up and is talking to Mark, and Mark's like, yeah, I've got all these books, and Alan recognizes, wait, I know this story. Yeah, this is all real stuff. So Alan takes a copy of all the books, and they can bring that to Thaddeus, and Mark says, look, I'm not going to space again. I just went to space twice in the last couple of months, so I'm trying to work things out with my girlfriend. But tell him that once they take the fights to the Viltrumites, I'll be there for them. So that's a fun episode. Like I said, a lot of downtime, but I'm excited to see where it goes. Oh, have a good night, Luna Rose. Thank you for hanging out. Anyway, I really like this show. I think we've got, 2 more episodes this season, and we do get a little bit more of a tease of that multi-dimensional being at the end. So I think we're gonna see another confrontation there, and I look forward to it. But until then, if you can't wait to find out what happens next, read my books. No, read the books. After season 1 ended, I couldn't wait, and I read the entire comic run. Highly recommend it. Really good. The show is extremely faithful to it and is better paced. But if you can't wait, there's a lot of good story for you. Okay. That is all of the prepared content I had today. I need some water because I've been talking nonstop for an hour and a half. 2.5 hours, actually. How about that? Why don't I get some Jedi Survivor booted up? before I do that, hang on. First, I need to head over this way. Let me go over to game capture. I need to set up the chat stores here as well. Okay. And it just needs to move. Oops, wrong one. Come here. Let's move you down to the right slot. So you're not overlaying things I don't want you to overlay. Okay. All right. We've got that one set up. I will be right back. I need to use the restroom. When I come back, we'll have some Jedi Survivor. Don't go anywhere. I am back. Looks like stream is lagging, probably because the game is optimizing itself. So hopefully that will clear. Do. Okay. Let's double check. Yeah, that should be the one. You guess you could draw something bicolored? Sure. Come on, game. There we go. Rescue Z from the Lucre Hulk. Okay. Now, do I have any other... Okay, so I want to teleport to Devastated Settlement. Dope.
Need to center myself.
Got 1 skill point. Let's see. Anything to buy, or are they all 2 points now? I should get multifold reflections. That's a good one. But there's also resilience, power of friendship. That's a nice one as well. I haven't unlocked the other telekinesis powers. I probably want to save some points for those, actually. Those are really good once I unlock them. Swift focus, that's handy, though. And I could get that one. I'm going to hold off on getting skills for now. Let's just head on over. Got your new paint markers, and now you have art block. Well, then I recommend you draw a block. That way you can make art out of your art block. And it can be your art block. Okay. Okay, so I want to get up here. It's nighttime now. How about that? Hello, little birdie. I don't want to fight you. Ow. No, I don't want to lock on. I want to get up here. Oh, shoot. Maybe I do need to fight you then. Alright. Here we go. I did not mean to pull out double sabers, but that's okay. We got them all. Dope. Head back up here. Get that on fire and bring it on over here. Oh, hang on. Before I do that, what are you?
Let's get this data disk.
Data disk. Those are. Well, I can't get the data disk to Z until I get Z back. Yeah. I do believe. Where is it? Down here? Yeah. Hey, hey, hey! Health essence increased. Nice. Anything else in this room? Nope. Cool. Now I can get on through. Squeeze on through this.
Well, there it is.
Lucre Hulk. Fancy.
Got your mark, I'm coming in.
Hey, Bode.
You made it.
Anyone spot you?
Me? Not a chance. What are we dealing with? Any sign of the droid?
Some kind of service gantry.
Could be a way in.
It's the best option I can see. Only way to the Lucre Hulk is through this swamp.
For you, maybe. You want to ride, BD?
When you're ready, make a move on that gantry. I'll be watching.
Copy that.
It's an annoying thing with this mission is a couple times it forces you into the binocular view. And you can't exit out of it. You can't skip it. You have to go and point at the things it wants you to point at before it lets you release. And if it's your first time doing it, then like, okay, but you know, on subsequent attempts, sometimes it's like, can I just skip the whole using the binocular thing? I know what you want me to do.
Hard to believe anything could live in this swamp.
I'm not gonna skip it. I wouldn't skip it for you guys anyway, though, because it's my first on-screen completion, even though I've played this game quite a bit offline. But, you know, I want to present the whole story.
See that building, buddy? Guess someone does live here. Or did once.
Oh, shit, you're right. Where is my controller? That is a good question. Give me a second. I will pull it on out. Thank you for reminding me. I was playing using the Force. Oop, hang on. There we go. Okay. Oh, seeds.
Oh, something for the garden.
I'm not leaving you here. Don't worry about me. I'll
Oh,
be
people.
fine.
Let's check this place out.
Can't we just get you a new one?
Absolutely not. My entire life is on that datapad.
Hello.
Cal, what are you doing out here?
I could ask you the same question, Zig.
I came out here to look for Z.
Yeah, me too.
Ahem. And I am Winnie Eres. Cal, was it? We've only just met, but I could use some assistance.
What do you need?
I was told there's a bird in this swamp that sports a resplendent plumage. But when I tried to get a closer look at one, it snatched my datapad and flew away.
Oh no.
Where'd it go?
They've got a nest at the top of a spire nearby. I'd go, but Winnie here says I gotta stay by her side.
Yes, that spire there. It's so close, yet so far.
I'll see what I can do.
You shine like the stars. Oh, that's a Coruscant saying, perhaps a more simple. Thank you, Cal.
Zig and Winnie are a good couple. Like, they're definitely a space lesbian couple.
I can't move that. There's no other way up to the pillar either.
So I will need to get
Good job.
other powers before I can complete that mission that she has for me. Oh, you got some scan for me.
Pulling me under.
There we go.
You ever been in a ship this big before, buddy? Been a long time for me. Not looking forward to it. Good season there. We're not leaving without her.
Where am I going? Oh. That's what I'm doing. Oh, son of a bitch. You got me with a rocket. How dare you? Get blown up. Yeah, so my My game just crashed. Can anybody let me know if you see me or hear me? My game crashed and my OBS crashed. So I'm going to have to boot that back up. And I'm probably going to have to play through that whole thing again because I hadn't gotten to another rest point. This happened last time too. I don't know. Do I need to like make sure that I'm rebooting stream before I do this? Because like, I don't know, my computer has oops, wrong thing. Hang on. There we go. Oh, do we have both chats? Did it fix it? Let's get rid of the second chat then. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Boom. There we go. Hey, look at that. We've got our regular chat up now. How about that? Turns out it just needed OBS to restart. Well, we'll give it a try, but if stream crashes again because of an OBS issue or, you know, running out of VRAM or something like that, I will have to end stream there because I don't want to keep dealing with crashes. I'll have to check to see if optimizations and stuff for that. In fact, I have set it up so that once stream ends, it'll just automatically raid out to Riverboat Jack too. So if for some reason stream ends and then you're watching Riverboat Jack, then that means stream's over if I don't get to do an official one, you know? But yeah, I probably need to reboot my computer sometimes. Okay, so... Yep, I lost all my progress. That's always good. I mean, I hadn't gotten that far, but still, it's annoying to lose progress. Ow, son of a bitch. Get wrecked, loser. And I don't even need to use a stim because I know that this is going to unlock a health thing. The MJ is hitting hard and you're sleepy. Well, if you need to go sleep, go sleep. Don't let me keep you up. And now I should heal to full, because that was a health essence. Boom. Didn't need to spend no stim. You won't be able to sleep when you want to draw and paint. Well, I guess you're just gonna have to work things out for yourself then, Sai. I have given you my advice.
Well, there it is.
Got your mark, I'm coming in.
Oops. Well, we already watched this, so I can skip.
Any sign of the droid?
Can't skip this, unfortunately.
What kind of service gantry?
Could be a way in.
It's the best option I can see. Only way to the Lucre Hulk is through this swamp.
For you, maybe. You want to ride, BD?
Skip.
When you're ready, make a move.
Okay.
Now we just need to rescue Z.
Now I need to find a save point soon.
Hard to believe anything could live in this swamp. I guess our friend here makes it work.
Hey Paco, how's it going? You just missed the game crash and my OBS crash. So I had to restart basically all of my gameplay.
How much do you think this is worth?
Nothing's worth
Rescue Z's nuts. Nice. Now, is there... I don't think there's a checkpoint on this island. Ooh, but Scuba's here. Hey, Scuba.
Fellow laddie.
How's it going?
Spot to catch a fish.
Nay, dangerous fish to catch a spot.
You tried.
Sure.
Aye, that one slipped the line. But sarcasm is weak.
Oh, what game do you play?
Besides, I've gathered my focus for my quarry, the fearsome glodsome crab. One of my old crew, a mate on the grapnel, once tried to pluck a crab from the sea foam. When
Get the... Oh, he's gonna catch crabs. Go get your crabs. Europa Universalis 4. Is that one of those like was it E4 or X4 games or something like that? 4X, is that what it's called?
Where was I?
I don't know anything about that game.
Flipped overboard like a quillfish wriggling out of a tin. The crab yanked her in by the nostril. Sometimes you have to strike first, no?
Paradox Grand Strategy? Okay. Don't think so.
I don't think so.
Perhaps you're wise not to take your morals from a crab.
Become
Perhaps
crab.
not. Stay a moment, and I'll regale you with the next chapter of my tale.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't need to hear just the big fish story.
Let's check this place out.
Can't we just get you a new one?
I just want to...
Absolutely not. My entire life is on that datapad.
I already did this conversation, so
I could ask you the same question, Zig.
I came out here to look for Z.
I hit the wrong button, and now she's gonna
Me
talk
too.
the whole thing.
Ahem. And I am Winnie Eres. Carl, was it? We've only just met, but I could use some assistance.
What do you need?
I was told there's a
Actually,
bird-
what happens if I...
Hold that thought.
Let's start this conversation over.
Well,
I could ask.
Skip. Okay, there we go. Now we've got all that. And then...
I can't move that, but there's no other way up to the pillar either. You know just where to look. Well done. Yep, still not great.
Now, hopefully, at the other end of this long climb and zip line thing, there will be a checkpoint so that I can save my progress before the game crashes on me again. But oh yeah, if I do have another crash, I'll just call the stream for the night. And you'll know that because the stream will pause for a little bit, and then you'll be redirected to Riverboat Jack. I've already got her set up as the redirect, so if suddenly you're watching Riverboat Jack, all's fine. My game just crashed and ended stream as a result. Get wrecked, bitch. Get absolutely fucked. Loser. Okay. Okay, so there is a save point right over there. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, nobody to fight yet. Let's save right now.
There you
Thank
are.
God.
Ready to liberate one slightly eccentric High Republic droid?
Yeah. You?
Well, I'm here, aren't I?
Patrolling. Roger, roger.
Sounds
Oh, fight time.
Fine. Reserve that.
Oh, crap. Go Bode, kick their asses. Any more? Oh, yep, these dudes. Gotcha.
Not such a warm welcome.
I guess knocking isn't an option.
We'll find our own way. Think you can break that coupling?
Let's find out.
When in doubt.
Not liking this.
Got company. Go after it.
Oh, dude, more dudes.
Going in. We need to do better than that. Going in.
Okay, those dudes are dead.
Grenade out.
Oh boy, that grenade just went flying. Short goatee. Now I know there's other things around here to find. I know getting up here is actually kind of a pain. There we go. But
Not bad.
got a prior right for it, so it was worth it.
Yeah. She thinks Tanalor could really help the path.
All right. But you do seem happier now that she's around.
Okay, let's focus. She needs us.
He does not want to talk about his feelings for Marin. Hang on. There's something over here. I almost paused. Oh, hey, yeah, look.
This piece of junk could sink any second. Nah, she'll hold. Just wait till you see what's inside.
Okay.
broke into a freighter on the Nab once.
Yeah? Any tips?
No, it was nothing like a Lucre Hulk. Not sure why even.
Could you clear this up?
Absolutely.
There we go.
They're onto us.
How did I miss you?
Use a jetpack, huh?
Come on, start shooting.
Then you are subordinate to me.
Oh, he doesn't even know I'm here.
I am Model 388. That cannot stop me.
Split ya
Were those droids arguing?
right down the middle.
Than you'd think.
No wonder they lost. Come on, let's go. I'll make sure the coast is clear.
Nope. All right.
Miss me, BD?
Hey, save point. Grabbing these as soon as I get them.
Just look at this place. All set, Cal?
Good to go.
Guessing that's a shortcut.
too easy.
Yeah.
It's always worth a shot.
Oh, he just wants to.
Stay alert. If anyone comes this way, kill them.
Or I could kill you
Enemies
instead.
nearby.
Oh crap.
You'll be done soon.
We got the other one. Are they dead?
Coast looks clear.
Cool.
Keep going up, yeah? Somehow.
There.
Never doubted it. Keep going. I'll scout around. Make sure there are no surprises.
Be careful.
Got you. And you. And you.
And I just got to
Those guys ready to take? I love dashing through the force
Scaling
fields.
a beaten up warship, just like the old days.
Where am I going next? Up here? Yeah.
Where are they going?
Checkpoint. Or shortcut. Uh-oh. A dude.
Adjusting combat strategy.
A Magna Guard, or whatever he's called. Alright, he gone. And I got a skill point from it. Can I not get through this door? Guess not. Oh, it looks like it needs me to hook over here. Okay. There we go. Oh yeah, that is where I want to go. Is it down here? No? Is it up here? I don't see. Oh, is it supposed to be up here? Yeah, that's where I want to go. Okay. There we go. Okay.
Stay alert. We have reports of hostiles in the area.
We're under attack? Here?
Ready for battle. Keep this area locked down. Whatever Ravis is up to, it's drawn some unwanted attention.
Initiating combat.
Okay, got those guys
Whole
done.
ship knows we're here now, huh?
Now all of China knows you're here. Guess we're going down this way. Is there okay, I'm not gonna rest, but I am gonna grab this. I'm just gonna meditate so that it resaves.
Force is with me.
Just cause. Oh, and I've got a skill point to spend, so let's do that. BD1 stim canisters refill some force meter. That could be good. Or I could go with multifold reflections. Swift focus could be good. Or I could save it because I'm going to unlock telekinesis soon. You know what? Yeah, I'm actually going to save it because I'm going to unlock telekinesis and I'm going to want to buy a bunch of those abilities. Yep.
Let's move.
Feel this.
Son of a bitch.
I need something, buddy.
Missed.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Your blood.
Ow.
Help me! Here!
What did you
Can we get them both? Are they all gone? Okay,
Jam
cool.
door. I wonder. This thing's got your name all over it.
Oh, crap. Oh. Alright, bud, let's go. Okay, he's gone.
Good to see you in one piece.
I'm not going that way yet, because it looks like there was something over here. Yeah. See? Haze to explore. Is that a shortcut? Oh, hell yes. Boy, it seems like we just keep coming back here. I don't want to rest because I don't want that Magna Guard to come back, so I guess I'll have to rest once it gets to the next checkpoint, but at least I have got that one saved. Can I... No, that is not... I've got 4 stims. That should be okay for now.
Yeah. Glad she wants to help us find Tannel.
Wait, you hear that?
Uh-oh.
Destroyer droids.
Oh, crap.
Perfect.
And I just wasted a stim. Okay. Good. They're gone.
I think that's all of them.
First time I fought Droideka was with my master during the Clone Wars. I froze. He had to take them out.
Look at you now. Bet he'd be proud.
Hope so.
Just chicken. Oh, okay. Guess we're going on this way. I want a rest point soon.
Enemies nearby. Time to get after it.
Haha.
Good one, Kestis.
Complete.
Crap. Thank you.
So, you know she didn't just join to find Tanalor, right?
Don't know what you're talking about.
He really does not want to talk about it.
Whatever you say, Cal. Okay, let's see what we have here.
A turbo lift.
Is that who I think it is inside?
Let me get a closer look. Yeah, it's Z.
Where does it go?
Control tower.
And that's our target. You see a problem. Down there.
Droids.
Droids.
We've seen worse. Check out those AATs. I've got a plan. So I figure I make some noise, draw them away, you slip by. Regroup at the turbo lift. What do you think?
It's risky.
We passed risky a while back. Good luck.
You too.
Let's go.
Ship won't fly, but there's a hangar full of craft.
An army, all ours, ready to scour this planet for my lost master.
When it's time, I'll signal.
What signal?
Trust me, you won't miss it.
What is it? No, they haven't reported in. There's no sign of them.
Ow, crap. Kill the droid echo before it can shoot at me again. Okay, now we're good. Okay, you guys are dead. Really like a save point. I am low on stims. Nope, not you. Oh, hey. An elevator. Well, that looks like a new checkpoint, wouldn't you say? Oh, look at all my stims back. Something exploded. Oh, Bo did that. He drew away a bunch of droids. Cool. So there's 2 paths. There's up here. crap. Hang on. So something tells me that other way is like, this might just be a secret. Yeah.
Good. Soon you will serve a new master.
And that door's locked. Yeah, okay, so this is... Continuing on this way then. Oh, it's this thing.
I can't
Left
open
on
it.
the other side. Guess I'm going through here. Okay, got all those guys cleared out. Nothing's gonna shoot at me again, but I'm just gonna run through. Use that thing as a shield. Avoid all those blasts. I can't deal with them yet.
Now to test my work. Droid, kill them.
Roger, roger.
Oh. Now that looks like a boss fight.
Lightsaber on the field.
Oh shit. Oh shit, that is a big one. Son of a bitch.
I need one.
Ow. Jeez.
Make that count. He's swift.
Hey, Sebastian, thank you so much for the $2. You're back again, some more money. You're very generous. Jeez, this guy does a... Oh shit.
Making new friends?
Hit me.
I'll never break. What?
Good to see you.
Oh, Bode, you got the kill?
Does anyone need a
Asshole. That was mine.
Don't need it anymore. Couldn't find a way to the turbo lift.
Well, let's look for one together.
It's locked. Nice.
Okay, now I want to get this. I just didn't want to get this yet because it does that. So I didn't want it to shoot at me while I was dealing with the hammer dude.
A little help, buddy.
No. There we go. Boy, that was a good recovery on that one. I almost went.
Okay. Now what?
Oh,
Not bad.
that jetpack's handy.
What are these buildings?
Technical term is yurts. Living quarters. Saw them on Merrick 9. You never seen so many yurts.
Living quarters. We're in deep now.
I don't know why, but just hearing the word yurt in Star Wars feels weird. Like it should have a Star Wars-y name. Alright. And here comes a bunch of fights.
Enemies close. Got your back, Cal. See this, BB?
Oh, son of a bitch.